I was not making fun of urologist professions.
Hey, if Jamal Murray can play in Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals last night when he's a little bit under the weather, you can go about your business with a kidney stone. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's not what I was trying to say.
I was just trying to paraphrase what you said.
I just, in my experience, kidney stones, they're painful, but people got through them. And Jimmy and I have a relationship where I feel like I can kind of joke around and laugh about it. I didn't know that it got real bad for him. I didn't know it could get that bad. I feel awful because I love Jimmy. But I do want him to bring in the stones, though. I think that would be funny.
No, we do not.
You can bring in the stones. You get your own stones.
Yeah, I know you can.
They call us the Rolling Stones. Wouldn't it be funny if you just rolled in with a couple of kidney stones in a bag and just waved them in your face?
Nope.
No.
That would not. I'm like worried about like when you two meet because he was upset.
I gave him a call. We texted yesterday. I gave him a call.
Look at
he didn't pick up the call.
You feel guilty?
I feel, yes. After hearing what happened and how painful it was and what he had to go through, I feel terrible. And like as someone, Jimmy is like an actual friend, and I made some funny jokes about him, and then it ended up going the absolute wrong way.
All right. So we hope to have Jimmy off the IL and back in on Monday. A year ago on this morning, and I we were talking about him the other day on air.
I know.
I sent him a text, Matt Foster,
Oh.
who was in for Nick on this day last year. And Matt, who used to work at KTV, who now works down in Kansas City as a sports anchor. He was in, first time coming in to do a full show. He was super excited.
Yeah.
He was fired up. He's like, man, this is going to be awesome.
He's all prepped, all the notes, everything ready to go.
He was thinking, at the time, am I going to get out of TV? I might get into radio. He came in here. We were about ready to start, and then all hell broke loose in the state of Kentucky when Scotty Scheffler got arrested. So last year on this date, we were talking about the best player in the world getting arrested because he changed lanes because he was going to be late for his tee time. Today, we are talking about balls. Welcome to golf.
Mud balls, baby.
Yes.
Lift, clean, and place. Most people never even heard of that rule unless you follow golf or play golf. No one's heard of that until yesterday, but it's a big deal.
I don't think Scheffler, by the way, first and foremost, Scotty Scheffler to finish under par, and do not discount him.
No.
But he was a little bit right. So in Charlotte at the PGA Championship, which you may have, as a casual fan, said, I'm good after day number 1.
Yeah.
Don't go away. Day number 2 and Scotty Scheffler might be really, really good for you. But lift, clean, place. They have a lie rule. It's rained a lot in Charlotte, so at Quail Hollow, which is a great course.
Yep.
The Green Mile, the last 3 finishing holes are fantastic. But the morning to the afternoon was completely different because the afternoon, the course dried out. So Scheffler gets done, and somehow he remained under par. And they asked him about it, and he didn't bring it up. So he wasn't really whining. He just explained it.
Yes.
But you know what? What a difference a year makes. One Friday, you're in jail. The following year at the PGA Championship, you're talking about your balls. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you know what we should talk about? Is
I thought you were going to lead it into like he's a leader of the sport and he's doing what he needs because he's standing up for people.
Hey, I think anybody that wants to talk about the balls and explain how they get cleaned and all that kind of stuff and how they should lie, I'm with you, okay? Because you're honest and you tell us and you grow the sport and you let us know about it. But the PGA Championship, which is the stepchild. They used to stick it in August. Now we have this long wait until the next major after we go over and appease the Euros. It is, and again, I preface this by saying it's day number 1. It is the worst friggin' leaderboard I have ever seen at a major after day number 1.
It is terrible. It is awful. You know it's bad when you go on DraftKings and most of these guys still aren't like the favorites to like win or anything like that. Like they're still pretty far out there in terms of the betting. It's terrible. Like I think a casual golf fan, like if you just watch the 4 majors and maybe you just put on the Golf Channel every once in a while, doesn't know any of these guys.
No.
I literally,
Luke Donald, maybe. Luke Donald is probably the most recognizable name that's on the first page of the leaderboard.
On the first page. Fitzpatrick and McIntyre like tied for 9th. Bradley tied for 9th. Like you probably know those names. But if we're talking first page on the like right on the bottom right corner of the TV broadcast when they show like the top 5, nobody.
You know what this is? The first day of the PGA Championship, the leaderboard looks like an A's Marlins World Series. That's what it is. And you have a guy who...
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. If you put up the first 9 guys and you told me, hey, this is the Oakland A's opening day roster from 2007, I'd be like, okay, cool. Sounds good. Don't know any of them. Who? Gerard? Who?
Because wasn't Johnny Vegas, who has a unique spelling of Johnny, and oh, by the way, is sponsored by Major League Baseball. That is his... That's who sponsors him.
Good for him.
He won the 3M up in the Twin Cities last year. But was he 575 to 1 on the board before they teed off yesterday?
I can look. I can do some
now,
sharks.
More than likely, he is going to be forgotten by Sunday. But this is a god-awful day one leaderboard, and make it stop. I'm almost thinking that all those people that are at the top of the leaderboard, I hope you try and break protocol with your driving to get into the course today, so that y'all get arrested, so we can have the big names all of a sudden make some noise, and then we have more familiar names.
That's mean.
Because I want to watch. I don't want to watch guys I've never heard of. You know what? The Kiwi.
But this is how you hear of them. This is how you hear of them.
Oh, you know what? We hear about them when they go and they win the Byron Nelson. Okay, this is my major. You know what?
It's your major? PGA Championship is your major?
It is our major.
Okay. You can you're the PGA Championship guy.
The Kiwi, Ryan Fox. Okay, you have me interested. But you know what? Don't have me interested in the PGA Championship. Okay, you can win the Byron Nelson. Here's the thing that I'm ticked off. And again, it's only day number 1.
And it's so insulting.
And so by tomorrow, you know, the leaderboard could look like some names that you actually might recognize. Here's what's wrong. This is why I'm ticked off. And this is why golf has the marketing problem that it has. Golf has become the WWE.
Okay, explain how.
The big names only show up at the big shows. 4 to 5 times a year. Look at what we have in golf, because we have the PGA Tour and we have LIV, that we don't get those guys together very much. And when we do, I want them to be at the top. I think it hurts guys like Brooks Koepka that they don't play against each other.
Yep.
Because Koepka is falling off the map. I mean, he might not make the cut. He shot, a 75 yesterday? So golf is becoming WWE pay-per-view events. 4 to 5 big shows a year. That's when everybody shows up. I don't need Johnny, who doesn't spell his first name properly, being at the top of my leaderboard. Okay. I need, hello, Rory. I need Scheffler just to persevere and get everybody out the way. Okay.
It's a good,
but I will watch no matter what again today, because you got me. You got me with the major.
So that's okay.
And a course that I really, really like.
That's the thing. What I was literally about to say that, because just like the WWE, regardless of the fact if the top guys are there or not for WrestleMania, or the top guys are there or not for SummerSlam, I'm still going to buy Peacock. I'm still going to tune in. I'm still going to watch. Your diehards are still going to watch the PGA Championship. And hey, in a couple of years, you'll joke about the fact that when, Johnny Vegas won the PGA Championship that one year, and how, oh my God, like 20 years from now, you're going to be like, oh, look at that guy. He like gets an automatic bid all the time because he won it that one year.
John Daly, who can barely walk, being at the top of the leaderboard in Charlotte.
But the thing is that when your top names don't show up is when you don't get the casuals, is when you don't get the big ratings, is when you don't build the fans, right? Like you aren't going to get new fans you're not going to get new fans of golf by having these leaderboards. Unfortunately, we can't script golf. We can't be like, hey, Scotty, you're going over.
Hold on. Did you say script?
I said script.
Are you still including our discussion about the sport I just compared it to? Because damn it, it's real to me. Okay. Don't ruin my Friday. This is a feel good Friday. Okay.
It is real.
As I'm wearing my John Cena retirement shirt.
I know. Golf, be better. You know what? I don't need to look at a leaderboard.
What do you mean golf be better? They can't do anything about it.
Golf.
They just show up in golf.
I don't need anybody that is in the top 10 that is not in the top 10 overall. Okay. Scotty, save the PGA Championship.
This is the PGA is like, Gary, we don't know what to tell you, man. They just go out there and do it. Jonathan Vegas, his odds heading into shout out OddsSharks, by the way. It's great for the post, looking up post odds. Plus 60,000.
Okay.
So
will he be forgotten by Sunday? I bet he finishes in the top 20, though.
So currently right now, his odds to win are I'll have to go to a different site to find that out.
I think there might be plus 200
for him to win.
Yeah,
can I fade that?
You have to double check on that. I thought I saw that on a scroll on ESPN when they were doing a PGA Championship wrap up.
I'm getting here are the lines. Wow. Okay, Scheffler is still plus 330,
which he should
to win
because him finishing under par.
Yeah.
Yesterday, especially what happened on 16.
Sure.
With him and Schauffele, it's pretty impressive.
I'll tell you this right now, and not enough people talked about it.
I think he's the favorite.
He is the favorite according to the odds. For the Masters, people forget on that Friday, Rory got off right before the wind came. Like the weather shifted on Friday, the Masters, massively. It was a great day, and then 1 o'clock came, and the wind just came through. And if Rory doesn't get off the course before that happens, I don't think he ends up winning. And one guy who did get caught up in that wind was Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
And I think if you can make the argument that if you flipped those two, that Scotty might end up winning the Masters if he gets out early on Friday, as opposed to his later tee time. So, like, I think people looked at Scotty after the Masters like, oh, maybe he's not. Like it almost took him winning a PGA Tour event for you to be like, okay, yeah, Scotty's like the dominant guy. The fact that happened again on a different major where he was on during the bad weather, and then as soon as he got off, it shifted toward the favor is just, thank God, though, it happened to him on round 1 as opposed to round 2 heading into Saturday. So Scheffler's plus 330, DeChambeau plus 1,200. Tyrrell
he was just banging it yesterday all over the course.
Well, he did what everybody said they were going to do. Everybody was like, yeah, we're just going to tee off and we're going to figure it out. They didn't really do that. Bryson actually did it.
Isn't that what we do as just general hackers on the weekend? We just tee off and we figure it out from there.
Do you know that somebody was like, yeah, there was a book. I was pointing out a course where it had a book. It was like, you want to take a nice 5-iron and lead it up the right side of the fairway. I go, I am not going to do that. All right. I am the only club I'm in straight is my driver. I'm going to tee it up and I'll just hit it. I'll figure it out. Vegas plus 1,800. So now to make the top 5 is plus 320. To make the top 10 is plus 150. Can I fade all of that? Like not to make the top 10? That'd be...
I think everything is fair in Warren money now, right?
Oberg plus
bet on if Pete Rose will get into the Hall of Fame.
That's probably
I think you can do that. All right, let me give you the lineup for the show on this Friday, where we'll cover a lot of bases. That includes state baseball is starting over to Tal Anderson. I got a tip for everybody that's headed to Tal Anderson this morning. You also have Nebraska and Omaha and softball. We got college baseball wrapping up. We got a big night in New York City. Shakira and Pitbull are at MetLife Stadium. We got a busy show. Luke Mullen from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Luke does a fantastic job covering Husker football and now baseball, or softball, excuse me. He'll join us coming up at 8:40. And then Mike Schaefer stops by. It was a busy Cruton day yesterday. So Schaefer will be in. And then also Matt Verzal stops by. That is the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys of John Higgins Weather Guard. Sean has already chimed in on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620 or at Matt McMedia. Yes, 99 days away from the college football season. Sickos unite. Let's have a countdown. We need a countdown. Do not fight against the countdowns or schedule release videos. Just embrace them. That's fun. Some of us enjoy that kind of stuff. And that's what makes our world go around. Shout out Neil Smith.
Caleb Henry always does a countdown, our friend.
Yeah. Dave Fight had a great, and I have to go and look at it. He did a countdown. I think it just coincided with the season one year, and he did like the greatest Husker player
with each number. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
There's
awesome. There's a couple of them that you have to.
You got to fight for.
Yeah, you have a little bit of debate.
Sure.
Because there are some popular numbers where there've been some really, really good players. Then there are some that are the obscure numbers, which it might be a little bit tougher to find.
Hey, so speaking about drivers, I broke mine yesterday.
Oh, no! By your own standard?
No, I was at a TrackMan place. No. Go ahead. I put my 5-iron into my bag.
Mm-hmm.
I missed. Like I hit the top of the bag.
Yeah.
And so when it fell over, and my buddy who I was golfing with took his bag out from the leftmost side and he put it over there. So then the bag fell from the right all the way to the left. The driver, which was sticking out, snaps. When I tell you that the rest of my day was ruined, okay? It's a nice driver, okay? Yeah. This is like a Ping driver. It was like the brand new Ping driver from 3 years ago. Gone.
Ouch.
Now, I still have the club head.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason I bring it up on air.
You're looking for somebody to help you out.
Where the hell do I go? Where do I go to get a shaft that would then fit in? Because I need a stiff shaft. Like I need a really, because I'm like Gumby, like my arms bend, like, so it's like, and I got really good hips too. So when I come around on the ball, like I get, like it can get real flexy on my shaft. So I need a real long, stiff shaft on my driver head.
There's a place at about 117th and Center.
Okay. So you just go in, I can get a new shaft.
They'll help you fix your shaft.
Okay. Yeah. It's broken at the top of the shaft.
Starts with an M, ends with a Y.
Macy's?
No. 117th and Center. They'll take care of that issue that you have. Now, as pertains to the club,
okay.
There are a couple of different places in town. I have a couple of friends. I don't want to. It's like picking your favorite child.
Yeah.
So,
really? There's your different golf stores.
There are some really good golf stores in town, and there's a couple of golf courses that they'll help you with that. So you get two.
Innuendos aside, I actually do need to I can't afford a new driver. I need to get a new.
No such thing as innuendos on Sports Talk Radio. No siree. I also think as we wake up this morning in this lovely city that is over 1 million. By the way, we're now over 2 million in the state of Nebraska.
Yes.
So for anybody that does the whole speech of, you know what, we are a state of 1.9 million. We're now over 2 million in the state of Nebraska.
Could you not tell? I feel like you could tell.
Well,
Some
people say it's the burbs of Omaha and Lincoln that have helped us, because Lincoln is now over 300,000.
I did see that.
But we're a town of 1 million people, so get off. All right. But we also are a town where I am waiting, and I think we're all eagerly awaiting the memo from the Big Ten conference this morning.
About?
Nebraska baseball saved the Big Ten baseball tournament by qualifying for it last night. Just a crazy, crazy game in West Lafayette where they were down 8-0, scored 11 unanswered, won the game, and they qualified to spend next week with all of us right here in Omaha. If you're familiar with Nebraska not playing in the Big Ten tournament here in Omaha, you would have no idea that it was going on.
I saw a billboard. I saw one billboard for the Big Ten tournament.
No, you did.
Yes, I did.
Where? Was it on the interstate?
It was right on the stadium in which is hosting the Big Ten tournament.
That doesn't qualify. That does not qualify.
It was right in front of the Chuck, and it goes, the Big Ten tournament will be here. I go, that's the first time I've heard about it.
Ridiculous. But Nebraska saved the Big Ten. I mean, now Nebraska probably saved themselves last night, because if you're not one of the 12, you're like, meh. But the fact that Nebraska will be playing here, and now do the next step, because Nebraska is playing here, and you want to, make some money, put some butts in seats, have it look good on BTN. Just screw the format. Well, you're not going to screw the format because the format is already screwed. Make sure Nebraska plays the night game, they 6:00 game. They don't want Nebraska playing at 10 a.m. Okay, no. We work in this state. Okay, we are hardworking people. Not all of us have PTO days.
This isn't Iowa,
Yeah. I don't know what that means. But Nebraska's in the Big Ten tournament. So the Big Ten baseball tournament in downtown Omaha is saved. There will at least be 2 games where there will be maybe a person in every section in the lower bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell of an accomplishment.
Well, considering the way this year has gone for Nebraska baseball, you might consider it a hell of an accomplishment that they were able to make it here.
When they were down 8-0 yesterday, I go, here we go. Like, this is the course.
You didn't.
I go,
Did you go, here we go, season's over? Or did you go, here we go, hey. Hey,
no.
Just boys, hang in there.
Former. The former. I go, we're gonna go this whole weekend with like, are they gonna do it? Can they win the one game? Like that. I was like, this is gonna be ridiculous. And then hey, they took advantage of an error. And for a team that's had errors where other teams have taken advantage of and won games off of, I was glad to see it go the other way.
And Creighton is a step closer to winning the regular season title in the Big East. They won at Georgetown, which is very awkward to me that Georgetown plays baseball.
Like, do you think that Georgetown should just only play basketball? They should just be a one-sport school?
Yes.
Really?
Hey,
why not?
You want some reality on this Friday?
Give it to me.
We're going to be cutting some sports, folks. It's just there's going to be schools that are going to be cutting sports or don't see a need to have that sport.
We've already been there. We've already been doing.
Well,
that.
I think we're going to see it more.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I know. But
Georgetown having baseball is very odd to me. You know, it's not like they can find a field there in the Georgetown area of DC. So they're in Maryland. The park looked okay. The presentation on the stream was god awful, but it did not affect Cancelleri. He pitched really well, and Creighton now has to win 2 more to win the Big East regular season title. Most importantly, maybe get the number 1 seed in their conference tournament. So both those teams are back at it today. I don't think they don't have lights at Georgetown, do they?
So
they're playing they're playing in the afternoon, and then because Purdue screws with Nebraska when they go to West Lafayette, they move the game up due to weather.
Okay,
it's like now at 3, and I think if I was following correctly, because the Big Ten baseball is confusing, I should just invite all 17 teams here. I think Purdue is eliminated.
Yeah, they are. So they're done. They're done.
So they're going to have guys pulling up to the ballpark today with their cars packed.
Yeah.
I mean, it could get really ugly.
Yeah, this isn't going to be like the MLB where it's like, hey, guys, let's play spoiler. You know, I think that some guys have a, home that they want to get back to, or like, hey, I get a couple more days with the family. This
could be 2 days of Purdue swinging at the first pitch.
I wouldn't mind that, man. Quick games. Can we get a game under 2 hours? That'd be fun.
That would be nice, especially in college baseball in the Big Ten. All right, you got the lineup. Lots to discuss. Plus, we are blessed. We are blessed with the basketball gods. The gods of basketball blessed us last night, and they might give us what we want tonight at MSG. All of that to roll till 10 till we send you on your way to the weekend here in the middle of May on Gary and Matt with Peter sitting in for Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, good Friday morning. This 16th of May, the middle of May. 99 days from college football. Less than a month from the College World Series.
1 day away from the biggest sporting event of the year. The Preakness.
Oh, the Preakness.
Big sports books back open, baby.
Have you been scanning the Preakness?
I got my picks. Come on now. Come on, Peter. Now. Have I been scanning? Been looking at 4 furlong times.
What would trigger people more? The leaderboard after the opening day of the PGA Championship, or that nobody is talking about the Preakness?
Nobody gives a damn. I haven't seen it on the ticker, on the ESPN. I haven't seen, like, typically, like, they'll bring in a sport, like, they'll bring in a horse guy every once in a while. Like, I had Fox and ESPN, like, both just channels pulled up all day, okay, just watching sports. Nobody talked about the Preakness. No, there wasn't even a silhouette of a horse running across.
Well, because you have a busy sports weekend. Yes. So PGA Championship continues. Go Scotty. You have Game 6 at Madison Square Garden. The place will be electric tonight. It'll be a tension convention. Timothy Chalamet is
Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
There's no R. There's no R.
He is such a devoted Knicks fan. His girlfriend Kylie is on a beach in Cancun or somewhere, and he is like, I'm all in on the Knicks. So you have that going on tonight. You also have the start of the Subway Series. So Juan Soto goes back to the Bronx. And then in Boston, Chris Sale goes back to Fenway Park to pitch.
And then you got the Crosstown Cup tonight.
You got that going on. You got the A's and the Giants.
Okay.
That's a big one. The A's go back to San Francisco to play. I believe that is not in West Sacramento, but it is in downtown San Francisco. Then you have Game 7 of the Nuggets and the Thunder coming up on Sunday.
Yep.
You have college baseball.
It's a big week.
Big weekend. I can see why the Preakness gets lost.
Everybody's favorite PGA Championship.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, did you?
And then you have state soccer is going on. State soccer, by the way, made SportsCenter top 10. Shout out to Elkhorn North. They beat Hastings. They were in top 10 SportsCenter moments. Zachary Keenan, good on you making SportsCenter. Also awesome. Good on Bennington boys soccer. They're in the semifinals for the 5th straight year. You have state soccer going on. You have state baseball that is going on. So it's a busy sports weekend. So I could see how the Preakness would get lost.
Yeah, 2-8, Zach the box, and then just throw 10 on the 3.
So you said you had a terrible derby.
Yeah.
How are we feeling, before people take your advice out of McSportsbook, how are we feeling about these picks?
Oh, good. They're researched. Yeah.
Were there 8 horses running?
There's 9 horses running. The 2 is journalism. So I'm betting journalism. And then Clever Again, which is a horse that didn't run in the Kentucky Derby, but actually is a pretty good 3-year-old, posted a 101 speed rating in his last outing in March, has some proper rest. He's kind of like, all the horse experts are like, hey, watch out for this horse type guy. Like when all of the experts are kind of telling you like, hey, all the sharks are like, look out for this guy. I just bet that guy. So, and then American Promises the 3, long shot, 15-1. I really, like I said, I bet him in the Kentucky Derby. He's a really fast horse. He got out a little bit too quick. He's at a good post position at the 3. I feel like if he can have a better ride, he could be a good long shot to bet. So I like a 2-8, and I'm only 9 horses. I'm only placing 2 bets: 2-8, Zach to box, 3 to win in place.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you. Definitely going to be substantially less on the units.
Yeah.
I was way too confident, and I told you too. I was talking to some of my friends. They're like, Matt, you're talking with conviction. Like, put a little bit more cheddar on it. Like you're placing so many bets. You're bound to win one. No, you're not bound to win one, guys. You're bound to lose.
Hey, Peter, you're more familiar with the local television than Matt is.
Mm-hmm.
How come KTV? So that's my go-to in the morning to watch, to get my news when I get up and I go into the office to start prepping for the show. How come they don't ever, like Jack and Melissa, very few days a week do they work together? I got to get their schedule.
Yeah,
well, you don't want to work with me?
They hardly. Like,
is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's exactly what you're saying.
He wants to bring them in.
Jack doesn't have to work with Melissa. Melissa doesn't have to work with Jack. Why can't that happen here?
There are very few days like they're together.
Yeah, I don't.
Like it's a popular morning show, and they both do a really, really good job. But I'll tune in and like if they're together, it's like, oh my gosh, they open up at 4:30 in the morning and they got 3 people in the camera shot. And I'm like, oh, hey, Sean Everson is always there. It's either Jack or Melissa. We got both Jack and Melissa.
Is news?
They like to make it an event.
I
Like,
gotta
we
get-
were talking about WWE earlier. They like to make it an event.
I gotta
when they're
get their agent because whoever their agent is has got them a lot of days off. Now, Melissa's a mom, so
Sure.
and she is she has had and it's kind of been cool because you've been able to follow her new family and her pregnancy and all the new kids. So she does have that time off. I don't think that's the case now. I was just
Sure.
they're like, Jack's by himself again today.
I rappelled with Jack. Jack and I rappelled down the Highline building together.
Like separate.
repel.
Like, yeah,
friends.
well,
Okay.
we hung out though the entire time.
Great guy. Great guy.
Like the most positive human being, funny, like real
Yeah.
funny guy. Like couldn't have done it
I
low
believe
key without him.
I believe he is still dating a former Channel 6
He
news
is.
anchor.
He is. He told me
Yeah,
all
she
about.
did a really good job.
yeah,
Wow.
that he
And
told
said,
me
"Screw
his
it, I'm
love
out of the
story.
business."
He told me his love story of how they met and everything. It was really
Yeah.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah, he
like,
does a
told
really,
his-
really good job. I mean, he had to replace one of the goats in John Oakey, so that's not easy to do.
No.
So-
But I like, I mean, I like that show. It's just they're hardly ever on together.
So
Let me talk to. There's a guy out at Warner who does works
Oh, I know.
over
yeah.
there. We'll see,
Hey, we'll ask him. We'll ask him.
we'll see what's going on.
He'll know.
We'll see if he has any
Oh,
insights.
that's a great deal, man.
So Jack was there with Over the Edge, and they were all taking videos of us, right? Hey, why are you
Yeah.
going over the edge?
Yeah.
And like,
It's in my neighborhood.
Not
By the way,
ev-
that live shot is next to my house.
that's kind of funny. Everybody was a little like startled in front of the camera. Like
Yeah.
even I'm not fully camera trained. Like I was like, oh, I'm doing it because
Yeah.
of this. They put the camera on Jack and he just snapped into like morning anchor mode. And it was one of the most incredible things. Like he was a like pro. Like you're like, all right, that guy does that for a living. Like it was one of the more impressive live things that I've seen. Guy's really good.
Yeah, he has the look.
He does have a
Um,
look.
Yeah, I just
He's
why don't they work? They don't ever like one day a week they're together.
You're like, I wish that was the case.
I mean, no, I like doing the show with you. I just that vacation, whatever they got a good agent,
You have a good
good
agent.
negotiating.
and they're like dominating the ratings too. So maybe they could just throw up just like voiceover and packages, and they would still do really well in the ratings. But I
Good
like
for
them. And
them.
now they're doing a live shot in my neighborhood, which I'm going to give you a little tip.
Sure.
Okay, so
Actually,
I
my buddy's getting an apartment in your neighborhood.
really
Yeah, so I'll be around Gary Sharp's neighborhood plenty this summer.
Able one.
No,
You know where I live. So I live in Exarban Village. There is, I'm just going to give everybody a tip today. I want you to come to our neighborhood. We got a lot of stuff going on in our neighborhood. We have a cycling race, a major thing that the Omaha Sports Commission
like
brought here.
national cycling
Yes.
race.
So
Wow,
they've
that's-
had, well, and now, well,
Oh,
On cue.
literally right
on
on
cue,
cue.
they are
Lord.
live on TV. It is whatever it is. They've had signs up for like 2 weeks where you can and can't park, and it's tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's
either-
gonna be.
No, wait a minute. I think it's tomorrow morning because the farmers market is on Sunday, and that would just be a mess. But yeah, I think it is tomorrow. So we have that going on in Exarban Village proper. And then this is my tip to everyone that today is probably the day you want to avoid my neighborhood.
Okay,
I like when you all come down and you hang out in Stinson Park and you're in
Sure.
our establishments, our food and beverage establishments. You come to our movie theater, okay?
your money is green. We
you walk
appreciate
around,
it.
you come to our dog park.
Yeah.
Okay, when there's like a hockey
Are
game
you
at Baxter, you park
bragging?
in my parking
Are
lot.
you bragging right now?
Oh,
of
I
all
love
the things
where I
that you
live.
have?
I love where I live. A lot of people like to explore.
Sure.
Okay, it's fantastic that
I should
Baxter
explore.
Arena is right there.
I just go to the DJs over there.
Yeah.
That's all
Oh,
I've
yeah.
ever
But you
been
got
to.
the campus there, and now we're going to get lonely because school is out. It is the USA CRIT National Cycling Race, so it's tomorrow in Exarban
And,
Village.
yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
be
just-
it's
I
going to be a
just
zoo.
Found the lineup, so it looks like men's open starts at 3, and then they'll kind
At-
of just keep going with
at
things
3 p.m.
till 9:30
At night?
At
Yeah.
night?
Men's open 3
have a
o'clock.
bike
Women's
race at
open
night?
4:10.
I mean, the street lights aren't great.
Yeah,
Do you have to, are they going to be racing with lights on
They're
their
gonna
bike
have-
or on
and-
lights
well,
on their
I
helmet?
mean,
and
wait,
the nightcap is the women's professional at 7, men's professional at 8:15. I have never seen a bike event that late.
When is sunset though? Sunset isn't
it'll
until
be,
like
it'll be a little bit
9:30.
dark about 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be,
we'll see
it'll be
how-
like 12 a.m.
We'll see how the lights.
It'll be like the helicopter over your house again. It'll be like
that's
just
what
people
Able One
just-
was doing. It was testing out if it could provide light for this bike race.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe Able One was looking out for the bike race. Did
Oh,
we ever find out why Able One
no,
was over
we
your
did not.
house?
We did not.
Was Cody Parkey kicking in the front yard?
He was not. I don't think that would be a wise use of resources. I'm sure that would come up in the next mayoral election. But if you don't have to be in the neighborhood of 67th and Center today, do not. Because we have a couple of things going on. And this is just my PSA to all of the wonderful listeners and people that live in this wonderful town. Because it is graduation for UNO today. Yes,
Oh.
I said UNO. They have 2 separate graduations. They have one at 9 a.m. and one at 3 p.m. Now, Bud Crawford, who is getting the Spirit of the Maverick Award, he is the keynote speaker at both both graduation today. But that is at 9 and 3, and Baxter Arena hosts a plethora of high school graduations. So I know the drill, how they do the traffic patterns, because I got stuck in one last weekend.
Sure, and you never forget it.
Well, you're like, come on. Hey,
Yeah.
I said, come on, Chris, you know me. Can you just pick up the cone? He's like, nope, you got to go around. I go all the way to Grover. He's like, Gary, I'm sorry. And I said, just pick up the cone.
Did he? Was he yelling at you, sir? You can't do that, sir,
No.
sir. And then he
No,
goes,
'cause I-
and then he goes, sir. And then Gary, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Gary.
I just pulled
Can't
up and
let you go.
I said, Chris, what's going on? And he goes, graduation. So
You
so UNO has
You know.
2 separate graduations today. It's going to be a mess. And then here's the other big one, because there's going to be a lot of new people that probably are at Tal Anderson. So with graduation going on, you're going to want to go, you want to do some backdooring.
Should we put this, Peter? Should Peter put this on his traffic?
Yes.
On
Well,
I
you
mean,
need to mention that
Yeah, we
You actually
Exarban
do.
Village, Tal Anderson, because of state baseball starting today, and then Baxter Arena are going to be busy.
be careful navigating through
For
Exarban
base-
Village
for
as
baseball
multiple
people-
events are going on this evening.
For
Stay
baseball
clear.
for baseball people, if you can go the back way, which I always advocate this for people that go into hockey because there's bigger crowds at
Sure.
hockey. Go off of Grover, in or off of Grover, come in the back way, especially for baseball, so that you don't have to, because you're not going to be able to meander through the Baxter Arena parking lot,
Mhm.
parking area to
Yeah.
get to Tal Anderson. So go in the back way, and then you'll be fine. But it's going to be, you're going to have to pack your patience if you're going to Baxter Arena or Tal Anderson today. There you
I've
go.
never
That is
heard of that.
traffic on the 9s on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Peter Krenzer.
Pack your patience.
Pack your patience.
I like that.
pack
Yeah.
patience.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, so when Lincoln East, a gaudy 29-3, shout out Coach Lanik, they take on Papillion La Vista, who is in the state baseball tournament for the first time since 15, with one of my favorite athletes that I've covered in a long time, who I think has actually been in high school for 7 years, Isaac Pamaran of Papillion La Vista, who is a multi-sport athlete. So that kicks off baseball. So there you go. There is your tip. Kind of avoid the area if you don't have to be at 67th and Center, because it's going to be a zoo today.
Avoid zoos. Or go to the zoo.
Go to the zoo.
Or
Go to the zoo.
I
The
might
weather
go
will
to-
be great. Like now that school is out, more people will be coming into our fine community to go to the zoo.
might be a zoo day for me.
You're not going to the zoo today.
Maybe. What if I do?
You're not going to the zoo.
You know where you
today.
should be going
Trust me,
tonight
you're not going to the zoo today.
is the state soccer
Yeah.
game that we were talking about.
You got West Side and Prep tonight, Class A boys semifinal soccer at Morrison Stadium.
Will be amazing.
Or the zoo.
You're not going to the zoo. Trust
Why?
me.
Why?
I just don't-
Why do you
I
keep
just
saying
don't
that?
see you randomly just going to the zoo.
I feel like if anybody would just randomly go to the zoo, it would be me. Wouldn't you agree? I feel like that would be pretty on brand for me to be like, you know what?
Would you go by yourself to the zoo?
Yes. Why wouldn't you? I like animals, minus pandas.
Well, they don't have pandas, so,
So great.
they
what
have a red panda. That's
If I go to the
closest
desert.
thing.
Peter,
Wait,
you know a lot of the animals there at the zoo?
I was just there. For
Is she
Mother's Day.
performing? She's performing at the zoo today?
Oh, You know, how great would that be if they got Red Panda to perform
And they put her in an
in front
exhibit.
of the
Really?
Really, Peter?
Come on now. I mean, are we really going to do that to her? The goat? The goat?
She belongs in Vegas,
Yeah.
not at the Henry Dorley Zoo.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, Red Panda, we got a residency for you.
Plus,
It's a really great deal.
I don't know,
It's
might
in the
get some foot
desert, though.
traffic.
Hey, plus I think that would be disrespectful to the real Red Panda. How would the Red Panda feel if somebody rolled up on a unicycle and they said, "Here's Red Panda"?
Yeah, I got a little
and the Red
confused
Panda
there.
is like, "Wait a minute, I'm the Red Panda, and I've got the parts to prove it."
Wait a second. What's going
But she's
on?
like, look at my embroidered jacket. It says Red Panda on it.
Iowa JD, who I've not asked. I didn't know if he went to the Council Bluffs or the Pottawatomie County I Club. Ben McCollum, who lost out to Creighton on Jaden Kahn from Storm Lake last night, was in Council Bluffs the other day as the I Club, which goes all over the state. They were over on the western side. I don't know if Iowa JD was there or if he's banned from that event. He said, time to give a huge shout out to Midland softball. I was waiting for you to.
Huge shout out to Midland softball.
So they are going back to the NAIA World Series. They defeated Oregon Tech, which is a juggernaut in the NAIA world. So Midland softball is going to the World Series. So congratulations to them.
I was just thinking about Ben McCollum. I saw some Iowa Twitter accounts calling him Coach Mac. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, after, just having a Coach Mac that we always talk about, to see other people call another coach Coach Mac, which has anyone ever called Ben, like at Drake or like North? Has they?
Yes.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Here maybe.
So if you're a Mick, if you have a Mick, are you just Coach Mac then? So would I be Coach Mac if I ever became a coach?
Probably.
Maybe I should be a coach then.
Now, here we may get a rivalry between the two Coach Macs, because Jaden Kahn, who is on the cusp of a top 100 player in next year's class, he's 6'7". He's from Storm Lake, Iowa, committed, very athletic. And by the way, Creighton fans, if you want to go see him, he'll be in Council Bluffs this weekend. He's I think on the rankings number 2 in the state of Iowa. So he committed to Creighton last night. Do you know who is from Storm Lake, Iowa?
Who's from Storm Lake, Iowa?
Ben McCollum. He was Iowa's number 1 target.
Oof.
When he committed to Creighton last night.
108th overall on the prospect rankings, and you're right, number 2. Definitely he's got to put on weight. Like, he's 180 pounds, but he's measured at 6'6".
Very athletic wing.
Very athletic, which I love. Like, I like that Creighton is investing in the transfer portal, but I also do love that they're still, and we had this conversation a little bit with Sipple, they're still giving love to the high school recruits. They're still trying to build that foundation. I think it's a great pickup.
Well, I keep reminding people that one of the best players in the incoming class is a freshman.
Yeah.
In Hudson Greer. So that is the start. It's been a good offseason for Creighton. But add another thing to your list to do this weekend. So the 3SB Adidas circuit is stopping in Council Bluffs over at the Iowa West Fieldhouse this weekend. And so he plays on D1 Minnesota. I believe that's who he's playing AAU with. You can go see him play this weekend.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I feel like it should be on Channel 7 where they have somebody chimes in with what to do, like at the end of their Friday morning show. Somebody chimes in and goes, here's what to do this weekend. I just feel like
do they not have that segment? I feel like that would be a pretty common news segment.
They do.
Oh, they do.
Okay. I feel like I just did that.
Oh, you did just do that.
Yeah. All right. We're done with that. But again, if you are going to graduation or you have any business around 67th and Center, just be aware of that. But Tal Anderson Field, I'm going to be your friend. I want you to go. I want you to experience Tal Anderson Field. High school baseball in that facility, and then next week at Werner Park are bangers.
Did you just?
But you don't want to be caught in graduation traffic for the 10 a.m. game or any of the other games. Go the back way off of Grover, and you'll thank me later.
I feel like you just tried out for when like Jack and Melissa aren't working. When they're not there. You just gave us a whole 8-minute rundown.
Quick story.
Go ahead.
This has been in my previous life. I was sharing a bed with somebody who was a morning news anchor. Okay. So you got good practice. Would that be the best way to describe what our relationship was? We were sharing a house. So I would joke around, and I'd go into their station and we'd do,
sure.
I'd do a little thing on the set.
Would you do a rundown?
It would not be on air or anything. I don't want to do an anchor. I want to be on the weekend. I want to come in and I want to do the weather.
I think that would be electric. I think you would you would mix in a little comedy with it as well, but you would actually give like some informational things to look out for. I think they would be good.
Previous sports director at Channel 6 said, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I might talk to my GM." And I said, "You better talk to your meteorologist before you talk to your GM, because that will be very, very uncomfortable."
Hey, so we're going to bring in this guy. Hey. His name's Gary Sharp.
Seriously, if I got a phone call like from Channel 7 on a Saturday morning,
we
like
can make
3
it happen.
in the morning, and they're like, "Hey,
Gary, everybody got sick."
Eddie from Miami, who is one of their weekend anchors, he can't make it in. Do you think? And I'd be like, "I'm there. I just don't have makeup." Okay, but
they got it for you.
I'd be like, you'd wake up at 5 in the morning on Saturday morning, and I'd
watching
be
their Saturday
there,
program.
That'd be
we interrupt this broadcast.
Happy Saturday, everybody! Along with Bill McIntyre, I'm Gary Sharp. Welcome to Channel 7 on the weekend.
We go
God, yes, I'd love to do that.
We go over to Exarban Village. We got to make sure. A lot of cloud precipitation over here coming in from the east side. We have a band moving in from South Dakota. Now, you can expect showers.
How will the cyclists adapt to this?
We had a band coming in from South Dakota. I would be very, very concerned.
I don't know what any of that means, all right? I'm throwing out words and whatever. It's just the Coriolis effect. I don't know.
How quickly would the phone
pressure?
How quickly the phone ring at KTV and like, get the guy off TV. There's a reason that his face is on radio, okay?
Probably as quickly as it rings over here.
All right. When we return, we'll talk some baseball. Plus, one of the people that will be at the Omaha graduation is in the news. Bud Crawford not only is giving the commencement address, which is a banger. Who knows? I mean, will they let Bud just go Bud?
I think they should just let Bud do a workout. Just put a heavy bag there.
It's pretty cool that he is doing
awesome.
Both of those. But there's some confusion over his future. Get into that. Plus, Game 7. Warm the cockles?
No, not really.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think I could warm your cockles.
Not really.
Because of what happened last night.
Not really.
It's Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 on a Friday edition of Gary and Matt. Peter is in for Jimmy. He's off the IL without a kidney stone, we hope. And he'll be back in on Monday morning. Hey, don't forget, you still have time here in the middle of May to fly away with us to the Kenny Chesney concert at the Sphere in Las Vegas coming up in July. Chance once-in-a-lifetime trip. Tickets, airfare, Luxor, all of that stuff. We take care of it, but you have to get qualified and go to our website, 1620thezone.com, either on the homepage or go to our contest page. You'll find all the information, all the rules, the regulations. And you know what? Today is your last day. So go to 1620thezone.com today and get signed up to go see Kenny Chesney.
I want to go to a Kenny Chesney concert. Maybe I go out there, not a part as the trip. I just go out there to go out there. Sounds like an incredible experience. I don't know, man. I got a lot of trips. I got a
lot of ideas.
I have so many
idea
ideas.
Guy.
I am an idea guy, but I am planning. Like, I am way too committed now to too many things during the summer in terms of places I can go, because it's like it's the first time I'm like making money where it's like, oh, I have like discretionary income where I can like go to different places and see different people. And there are all these different people who have different ideas of like, I got friends who want to go to the Ozarks. I got friends who want to go to Nashville. I got friends who want to go to New Orleans. I got friends who want to go to Vegas. I'm now stretched thin. Like, I have a bad habit of not telling people no. So now I'm at the point where a lot of people think I'm going to a lot of different places. I'm probably going to one. Okay. So I have to be the bearer of bad news to some individuals.
So speaking of Vegas,
yes,
and Bud Crawford getting the Spirit of the Maverick Award today. He's speaking at both graduation ceremonies for UNO, which is pretty damn cool. I wonder if it leads to, when Bud fights again, will he be decked out in Nebraska, Creighton, or
not Creighton?
He has worn Creighton? Will he be repping the Big O for Omaha?
So,
because this is very unique that Bud is the graduation speaker. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Now they're giving him the Spirit of the Maverick Award, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
And there might be like some extra media that cover graduation at Baxter Arena today because Bud is the guy.
Well, a couple of things. Like, a lot of people don't remember their commencement speaker. Like, that is a thing that a lot of people say. Like, I totally forget.
Yours a year ago was
Rodney Bennett, Chancellor Bennett. But that was a year. That was what?
How was he?
It was very vanilla.
Yeah.
It was very like, this is the beginning of your lives and don't forget what happened. And I'm not going to act, by the way, as if I remember any of the words that he said. I just remember sitting there being very hungover and very hot, coming straight off of a radio hit. I did a radio hit right before graduation. And I'm like, all right, this is like the most cookie cutter like commencement speech ever. But most people don't remember. How would you ever forget like the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world being your commencement speaker? That's so cool. It's so cool.
But I wonder if then he throws Omaha a bone and comes out repping the Crimson and Black when he fights again in September.
So
if that fight is going to happen,
what he should do is he should come out for hopefully his retirement fight will be at Memorial Stadium. Okay.
And I don't think he's wearing Omaha Maverick gear at Memorial Stadium.
Okay. Well, then maybe in Dallas.
Wait a minute. You thought he would at Memorial Stadium?
I don't know. Maybe like in his last retirement.
He would come out dressed as Herbie.
My idea was listen to my idea and then you'll understand where I'm coming from. He comes out in like blue and white robes. All right. To like represent Creighton. Right. And then he takes off the blue and white robes and he's got like an Omaha Mavericks hoodie on. Okay. And then, they introduce it. He's got like the cool, like cut up, like the sleeves are cut off type, like Omaha Mav hoodie. Then he takes off the hoodie and then his trunks and his gloves are clearly like Nebraska scarlet and cream. So that way he honors all three schools.
Takes care of all the
exactly. He hits all the bases. Maybe he does that in Dallas. I do think a Creighton themed boxing robe would be sick. It would look really cool.
How do Nebraska fans feel like that about that? You can join us on the Prairie Flower Casino hotline.
He's got to represent all three schools.
951-1620. No, that's
He's an Omaha man.
You think Millard South football people are butting heads with Nebraska football? Wait till a Nebraska fan butts head with a Creighton fan over Bud Crawford.
Can we just all be friends?
We cannot. No friendship allowed.
Can we just all hold hands and sing Kumbaya and watch Bud win?
What I would like to ask, though, is there's still some uncertainty about him and Canelo fighting. There was the date thrown. Now the date has changed again.
So the date has changed.
It's September 13th, and the venue is now up in the air.
Oh, well, I'm reading this report. This is from Athlon Sports. So I don't know how much of a trusted site it is, but it says here that originally set for early September in Las Vegas, the fight has been moved to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, and rescheduled for the last weekend of the month. So that's what Athlon Sports is reporting. I don't know if that is the official date or anything like that. That's just one publication.
So this is the problem with all of this stuff in boxing, and maybe this particular fight that we have been longing for is there is a conflicting report to that.
Okay.
That it has been moved from Friday to Saturday, September 13th. And it has either going to happen in Las Vegas, New York, or Los Angeles.
How the hell did it? Okay.
Because that's boxing.
That is
boxing, and the people that cover it, there's just way too many people that are not blue check mark. That cover boxing.
There's just way too many people in boxing.
But also remember, nobody has really said, other than Dana White, nobody's really ever confirmed that this is happening, which is so on brand for boxing.
It is so on brand for boxing.
Here's really, and that's why I asked if there'll be I don't think Bud's not holding a press conference today, but it would be the first time that you could ask him, hey, one, this is happening, right?
Yeah.
And he says yes.
Yeah.
And then you go,
where?
When and where is this fight going to happen? Because I had not heard moving it to the end of the month. What I heard was September 13th yesterday, and that now the venue is up in the air.
Yeah. This is it
looks like what I'm reading is the driving force was UNLV playing on that Saturday. But is that really? I don't feel like that would be.
So that would mean the venue changed.
And so they're playing a September 13th game, meaning they wanted to change the venue, and they're looking at those places you mentioned for that Saturday.
But if they're going September 28th, when did the Cowboys play that day?
That would be fantastic for us all around.
Well,
here.
so that's another thing too. When does Canelo's team find out that the 28th is Nebraska's bye week? And like, hey, Poppy, we got a bad situation. We got no conflicting event for these crazy Nebraskans who are now going to flood AT&T Stadium. So whoa, no way, this is wrong. So this Athlon Sports is completely incorrect because it claims that it's going to move to September 28th at AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys host the Green Bay Packers on September 28th. So that's not happening. Why the hell is that a report then? See, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So disregard that. That's why I told you, it's just one publication.
I think digging through the boxing speak, it's that second weekend of September. We just don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah, that's the vibe I was getting.
What the hell's Athlon?
But here's like if you're going to Los Angeles, I mean SoFi. We know in Vegas they want to be in Allegiant. In New York,
it's only where Garden.
To do a large venue, you'd be outside. I mean, the previous two are dome, and you don't have to worry about the weather.
God, I hope they don't put it in the Garden. That would make it impossible to go to.
So this thing that I'm reading,
it'd be a tad bit expensive.
A tad bit. I mean, geez, Timothy Chalamet would be up in the nosebleeds.
How great would that be about boxing, though? back in a venue like that with a monster fight.
Oh yeah.
I don't see it happening because you wouldn't be able to make as much money.
You'd be. I know it would.
So somebody today that goes
the boxing nerd in me would love for it to be like in a casino in Connecticut, you know. But like seriously,
just a ballroom.
Yeah,
this tidbit's interesting. It says Vegas, LA, New York cities now in the running, part of the Riyadh season series. This will also be the inaugural event for Dana White's TKO promotion. And then it mentions that same day, that September 13th, is UFC 320. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Is this going to happen?
I don't know.
No. That'll.
No. Can I be like I'm not. I don't have any.
I have faith. I don't have any pugilistic sport.
That
it's going to happen because we need it to happen. But why does it feel during this conversation that this is not going to happen at the end of the day?
Gary, I have no inside reporting, and this is pure speculation, but you know the sport just as well as I do. This isn't going to happen. It's teeing up for it. We're 4 months away. We are 4 months away from this supposed to be taking place, and we don't have a venue and we don't have a date. We should be gearing up toward like when tickets will go on sale. Do they even have the hotels booked for the talent and all the teams and everything?
So if somebody's going to graduation today and you walk across the stage, grab your degree from Chancellor Lee, maybe stop and ask Bud, hey, what's up? What's going on?
TKO round 7.
When we
put in the Boardwalk Hall, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Old school.
Yeah, Gotti and Ward too.
Hey,
just put it there.
Bring back the heydays of boxing. Just, you know what? Why not go outside in a parking lot
I was
in
about
Vegas?
to say.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you know what? Put in the Exarban Village parking lot. Just right when the bike race is going around.
You know what? Let's go all the way back to the days of the Golden Gloves. No, that's not there anymore. Let's go to Ralston Arena. When we come back, a good day for Nebraska and Creighton on the diamond yesterday. Plus, will it be a big day for Nebraska and Omaha softball in the NCAA tournament down in Norman, where the scoreboard is the shape of the state of Oklahoma? I'm telling you. It's coming.
No, it's
Memorial
not.
Stadium.
No, it's not.
The new Husker Vision will be in the shape of the state of Nebraska.
Slap
and it will be
on it.
glorious. You'll be able to see the scoreboard from Brookings. It's Gary and Matt at 1620 The Zone. Hey, Omaha's #1 roofing company for roof repair and replacement. It is Moose Roofing. They've been in business since 1996. That's right. When a storm rolls in, you see a lot of shady people roll into town, and they're telling you what you want to hear. Not Moose Roofing. Pat Moose and his entire crew, they are top-notch. They are the MVPs of roofing, premium roofing repair. They've got replacements and lifetime solutions installed by the best roofing company. They are a bricks and mortar store. They're not on wheels. Plus, they have the gold standard guarantee. And right now, if you call to get a consultation, have them come out, sit down with you. They'll send out their crew. They'll get to know you, what your issues are. They'll get on your roof, and then they will go to work telling you what you need and what they can do. They will also work with your insurance company. They're more than just a roofing contractor. They're your neighbors. That's why people select Moose Roofing to come and take care of their most valuable asset, because of Moose Roofing's commitment to Omaha. Rooted in the community, on your roof, founded by a veteran, Pat Moose, former Nebraska football player and veteran, 100% local crews. They're in it for you. Get a quote today. Set up a consultation. MooseRoofing.com. So I was perusing your homepage for the McSportsbook.
Okay.
I can't recall in baseball this large of a money line. So tonight, Arizona and Colorado play. The Diamondbacks are minus 417 against the Rockies. I do not recall in baseball seeing that number. Minus 417, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies tonight. Hello.
Might be a safe bet. So what? You got to place $41.70 to win $10. So a $417 bet wins 100. Is that, what was it? 470? Sorry.
Minus 417.
So 417. Oof.
Well, as of Wednesday, they had set the modern era record for worst start through 43 games.
You would have thought they would, the White Sox were bad.
Yeah.
The Rockies came along in 2025.
I was talking, I got a lot of buddies who are Sox fans, and they love the Rockies. They are like, I am so happy because everybody was like, this will never be done again. This will be, the Sox will live in infamy. And not only did it happen again, it just happened to happen the next season. So it's like, you're not even going to really remember how bad the Sox were. You're not, because we're all going to be like, man, that Rockies team was like the worst team ever by a mile. It's incredible.
Brutal. And the White Sox have kind of turned things around. They're playing nearly 500 ball in the month of May, and they're going to win you some money.
Get out of here. They're 14-31.
They're playing well in May.
They're 14-31.
They had a bad April.
But
they're 500.
It's been 2 months into the year. We're only 2 weeks into May.
I just need them to win more than 54. Okay, we got 40.
There you go.
We got
Sharp sport book over there.
Other than that, I could care less about the White Sox. Okay?
You care a lot about the White Sox. You've talked a lot about the White Sox.
I just need them to pace well. Okay. So what if you only win 56 games? Okay, that's on you.
Just pay me.
56 and 106. That's fine. It's not going to bug me.
They're turning it around. They're only 17 games under 500.
Well, they're also in a division that could produce 4 playoff teams.
Well, yeah, because everybody's beating their butt.
Shout out Minnesota Twins. Oh, the Twins are beating the Orioles. Twins have won 11 in a row.
The Orioles are great this year.
Hey, you can only play
Look at the AL Central and the teams that those guys have played. They've played a bad White Sox team. I'm pretty sure half that division's gone through the Rockies already. They've all played the Orioles.
Why do you have hate towards the American League Central?
I'm just calling a spade. They've played easy schedules.
You can only play the games that are on your schedule.
I know.
It's not like Major League teams make their own schedule.
Hey, you want the PGA of America to rig who's in the leaderboard.
I did not say the word rig. I said, let's get with it. And
you compared it to the WWE.
Well, but no, because I compared to the WWE because we have now 4 majors every year. And in pay-per-view with WWE,
you only have 4
to 5. That's when the big names show up. That's what's happened in golf. All I wanted is this morning on the way to the course for the people that are in the top 10 to all of a sudden run afoul of traffic laws in Charlotte and get thrown in thrown in jail, and they're not able to make their tee time, so they get disqualified. That's all I want.
All I want you to do is admit that the Sox are a terrible team and that the Cubs are going to whoop their.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's going to happen. And by the way, something else is going to happen today.
Kate Horton Shove Day?
Tomorrow.
I thought it's today.
Is it today?
I believe it's today. I may be wrong.
What is Shove Day is Matt Shaw yesterday hit a leadoff and a walk-off home run for the Iowa Cubs.
Kate today.
So I don't like him pitching today. I don't like anybody pitching at Wrigley today.
Did you already?
So 1979, well before you were born, there was a rather abundant runs game between the Phillies and the Cubs at Wrigley Field.
Is this the Black Cat game?
No,
that happened in
that was 69.
69.
Yeah, and that was at Shea.
Okay.
This was 23-22.
Oh, geez.
The Phillies beat the Cubs, but the conditions today are very similar. It's going to be 80 to 85, and the wind's going to be blowing out 30 to 40 miles an hour.
You're a real, you're a great Cubs fan. Like, waking up and checking the weather in Wrigley is like a whole other level to just life. Like how I woke up and I checked
because you know what? I had a bad taste in my mouth. The loss to the Marlins the other night. Won that series. Hey, that's great. But you know what? The Cubs are 7-0. in opening games, a home series, but they're 1-6 in the closing game of a home series. We need a sweep. We need to beat the White Sox.
Honey, go back to bed. No. The flags are going to be blown out to right field. The White Sox got too many lefties. We're throwing them a righty today.
Hey, did you see what happened around Wrigley Field yesterday?
I heard of the reports on Twitter, but I didn't know what the outcomes were.
Person got shot in the arm outside of Murphy's bleachers last night. They do have somebody in custody. They caught him at a train stop, a couple of stops down from Wrigleyville.
I know.
Still a safe place, though.
Yeah, but the Chicagoland area does really have problems with the trains. I mean, just in general.
Well, I don't think it was the trains. I think the person went because you walk down the street and you go up the stairs and you get on the train, get on the platform, get on the train. I don't think it had anything to do with the train.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant they were coming from the train.
They had him on surveillance, and they hopped on the train. So, like 2 stops down, they arrested the person.
That's tough, man. Right in front of Murphy's too.
And fortunately, it was an off day, so there was nobody around the ballpark except for people that live in the neighborhood or were hanging out. So, on a different note, so last night I first saw the tweet from Matt DeMarinis, who was from afar covering the Creighton-Georgetown game, which is vitally important to Creighton. They won last night. Got a little interesting in the 9th, but they were able to hold on, and they're now 2 wins away from share of the regular season title, but they get the number 1 seed in the conference tournament next week. I saw his tweet, and then I logged on. There really is nowhere that we can turn because we want to watch our favorite teams play, and they're not on over the air or one of the regular streaming ones, or they're BTN or Flow Sports, and the quality is garbage. There really is no accountability to say, hey, I'm paying $15 for this, and the audio and the pictures are behind. They don't match up, but yet I'm paying $15, $20, $25, your yearly subscription. There really is nowhere to turn to complain to get a refund, is there?
No.
They have you.
No.
Like, we expect more, and maybe we shouldn't expect more out of like BTN and Flow Sports. Like, we expect when we're going to Peacock, I mean, that's a whole different level.
Sure. Oh.
But there's nowhere to turn to go, well, you know what? You just wasted my $15 watching a baseball game in suburban DC that you can't get the audio and the visual to match up. Or last night, and I guess it was a little bit windy in West Lafayette. I had seasickness watching that game because the camera behind home plate, or the center field camera, was jiggling most of the game.
So,
but what do I do? Who do I complain to?
So
BTN Plus, give me my money back. Give me a credit.
Great combo, because Summit League Plus or Midco Sports Plus, right?
Yeah, that much better.
During the Omaha Maverick season, right? The quality of the video was the quality of the video, right? Who the hell am I going to complain about that? Hey, there should be better quality of the video. At the same time, too, when you guys had away games, I wanted to listen to your voice. I wanted to listen to the voice of the Omaha Mavericks. I wanted to listen to your coverage. I couldn't find out a setting of being able to switch that audio. And I'm at the point, too, where it's like, what do? Send an email to Midco Sports Plus and be like, hey, could you please allow me to switch the audio to the other? Like, I'm helpless. I'm like, there's nothing I could do about it. And then the funny thing too, and I saw a tweet from my friend Austin Jacobson, who was talking about the camera shaking, right, at Purdue.
So he was watching the Big Ten game.
He was watching.
Okay, so the wind was blowing, I get it, but it was like extreme. So they must have had like a, I'm not to say secure, but that might not have been a.
Yeah.
Peter, you know this because you do the stuff at the Storm Chasers.
Yeah,
it looked like they have a camera that is just mounted. It is not personally operated.
I would guess it was just mounted, and either
kind of like Omaha has.
Yeah,
at Tal Anderson.
And either the tripod that they had it on was not locked properly, or the weather was just so extreme, and they needed to have someone on it. Because I saw some of the clips. And I'm like, my God, how can you even focus on what's happening?
So I see Austin Jacobson's tweet about it shaking. I wasn't watching the game on Big Ten Plus. I was just kind of following it on radio on the phone.
You gave up after it was 8-0, admit it.
But I was watching
on the Huskers.
I was watching Oregon versus Iowa on the Big Ten Network. Okay, that camera was also shaking, and that was on the actual Big Ten Network. That wasn't Big Ten Plus. That was the actual professional broadcast, and they also had the camera shaking.
Were the announcers on site?
I don't know. I watched one inning.
Probably
Not.
Good bailing on that. Oregon's on a mission. That'd be
They're
fun
a
to watch
7th ranked
them.
team in the country.
It'd be fun to watch them in Omaha next week. They run ruled Iowa.
Honest,
they won 12 or 13, I believe.
I watched a half inning because the camera was shaking too much on the Big Ten network. Not just Big Ten Plus.
Do you think the headline should be that the Hawks got quacked? Thank you. I'll be here all day.
Do you think you know somebody's saving that up, or they've already used it?
Probably is probably in the Des Moines Register today. But they're like, okay, so regular BTN, you're like, hey, let's be better.
Yes.
But there is like, you can send an email, but are they really going to give you a credit back?
No.
I feel like even a response would be fortunate.
And also, too, like back to the Midco Sports Plus, how many people are really actually buying that to where like they're watching a lot of Summit League games where they're like going to give you their money back willingly? No. They need their dollars, like they need their money.
I like my subscription.
I as soon as the Mavs season was over, I canceled that sucker.
I imagine the subscription that I'm using is used by about 40 other people.
Mine was used by 4. Not a joke. They go, because we had a housewarming party and I put on the Mavs ORU game and like everyone's like, you have Summit League Plus? I go, of course I have Summit League Plus. And then it cascaded into it when the Mavs were going on the run.
Well, fortunately for the Big Ten tournament, it'll be carried over BTN, and they'll have.
I don't know. I have no solace after that. After watching that broadcast,
they do present after we rose up around here and said, "How about you carry the whole darn tournament?" They obliged. They do put on a good presentation of the Big Ten tournament in Omaha. They try and not show as many empty seats. Hey, again, I'm not kidding. Nebraska. Winning yesterday,
I agree.
Saved the Big Ten tournament here for this year. Even with as good as Oregon is, and in the season that Iowa's had, and let's see, UCLA got beat last night. So Iowa's still in first, and they have 2 more games in Iowa City against the Quacks. They'll bring some people just because it's Iowa and where we're located. But if Nebraska wasn't here, you would know, like, there'd be no local coverage.
Is there an obvious better location, though?
No, but I think the Big Ten fell in love with, because they bounced around from Columbus. They were in Bloomington.
Yeah.
They were in Target Field, where I think at the end of the tournament, there had been more people in the dugouts than had actually been in the stands. And then they came here.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be a really good year for Nebraska. And they had gigantic crowds. And so they're like, we're not moving this. Let's do what we got to do. And now I believe they've signed a recent extension. I'll be curious when the West Coast teams are here, because all 4 will be here. Pretty sure all 4 will be here.
Washington
will be here.
Well,
Oregon,
UCLA, USC,
they should all.
And Oregon will be here. What their reaction is, if there's ever a, hey, we'll throw you a bone, and hey, let's go to, I don't know, Sacramento or something like that. But the Big Ten.
No.
The Big Ten is smart having the tournament here. I just don't. That's why I keep, whether facetiously or not, saying, why don't they promote it in this town? Don't take advantage of us. That, hey, we're bringing you a Big Ten championship event. Just show up because GBR is playing.
Oh, I agree with that.
But it makes a huge difference. But it also is a benefit for Nebraska. If you are playing in high leverage games, the crowds will show up. We saw that in the championship game last year.
Well, also, like, if there's not a big crowd, Big Ten, don't you dare blame Omaha for not showing up for it. I mean, it's not our fault that just your overall baseball product, sans the West Coast teams, isn't really that great. Minus Iowa's having a good year.
You know what Big Ten probably wants, and this with a grain of salt, because there's going to be a lot of movement in the final standings the next 2 days. But as of right now, Iowa in the 1, Nebraska in the 8, they would be in the same pool.
They would, and they'd
playing in the night slot.
Oh yeah,
on day 4.
Boom.
So they would love that.
There we go. Rig it, Big Ten.
You think the NCAA is making a call to West Lafayette? Hey boys, I know the cars are already packed, and you're looking forward to your trip down to Nashville, but
hello, boys.
we need one of the two here.
Hey, why is the tarp still on the field, but it's 85 and sunny outside? Anybody from Purdue?
Hey, we're calling the game. We're calling it. No, there's a.
It'd be very much on brand for Purdue.
There's a thunderstorm coming on the way. Hey, it's It's 480 miles out. No, it's in Oklahoma. Oklahoma storms move quickly.
You would think that, like, yesterday when you're down 8-0 and you rally to win, and it, the first part didn't go. I mean, it might have been another microcosm of the whole season where you have some adversity early.
Sure.
And then you fight through it and flip a coin. You're going to come out on the back end. You're going to win a game like yesterday. A team that has that, like, I guess you would call it moxie.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't it be more popular with the fans? Like, oh man, I'm falling in love with this team because they never quit. They're always in it to win it.
No.
But
well, it should be.
But it's like, you know what? I'll fall in love with you if you're playing on Sunday in Omaha. It's just a weird. It's the microcosm of the season from the fan standpoint and how this team is. That they could fall behind 8-0, but if they're playing a team like Purdue, hey, they might score 11 unanswered and they might win a game, and you're like, or
sure.
I love this team. This is one of my favorite teams ever, right behind the 2000 team that lost in the Super in Stanford.
Do you know how you get that? Do you know how you get that love? You don't begin the year ranked in the preseason. If this team was like, it's not going to be that great, they're not going to be at the top of the league. It's going to be a tough one for Will and the boys. And then they played this way, and they did grind their way into the Big Ten tournament. You would have that, not sympathy, but you would have that emotion. The fact that this team was ranked in the preseason, you're like, all right, guys, like we should just be winning. Right? It shouldn't even, we're too talented. It shouldn't even come down to this.
Maybe Nebraska baseball is just what Nebraska male athletic teams are. It is a
day late and $1 short.
It is the prime promoter of Excedrin, where they're going to give you a headache, but once you take Excedrin, usually that headache's going to go away and you're starting to feel good again. And then that headache's going to come back. So you got to take 4 of the red pills.
Yeah.
Okay. Headache's gone again. Hey, I'm all in. I'm fired up. Everything's working again, side to side. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Then you take a trip up to New York to the Bad Boy Mower Spin Scramble.
And then you know what? You didn't have a headache.
No.
And you haven't
and
had
then
it.
You say,
and you know what? From that sport, you haven't had a headache for a while.
And you're like, I don't think I'll ever have a headache again. And then you kick off the ball at Arrowhead at 8:00 on a Thursday, and it's a muffed. Bearcats pick it up, first drive, 8-yard line, migraine, right back to it.
You're like tap, tap, here come 4 pills. I'm back on the Excedrin. Larry writes into the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. He said the Big Ten baseball honks are dumb.
I'm just thinking.
Did Larry hear me describing the bracket the other day? I hope he did, because he will be like, yeah, that's why.
You want to do that bit again?
No. Hey, I'm gonna let you all, if you didn't listen the other morning, figure out the bracket, because it will make your head go and think, wow, if Nebraska is not one of the top 4 seeds and loses the first game, should they pack their car? It's
sure.
I'm sure they'll have
the car's packed already.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm
no,
kidding.
no.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No. Just because the RPI is 67 today. Larry writes in, why on earth did they set the schedule for the tournament in advance based on seeds? If Nebraska gets to the 7 or 11, they're playing 2 games at 10 a.m. Thank you, Larry. Listen, the Summit League tournament, Omaha is in it, and they will play regardless at 6 p.m. So there is a 1 p.m. game and a 6 p.m. game. But Omaha is always going to play the night game, or for the first 2 days. I am with Larry, and I think you have to, because you want to put people in the stands.
Yes.
And you are hosting your tournament in Omaha because of one team. That is Nebraska. Nebraska will bring the fans. Nebraska still, because that's what we do, they will come at 10 a.m. But if you have them where they're slotted in and it's 6 p.m. and you give Nebraska the best time slot, even if they're not the best seed, people are going to come. Okay?
It makes zero sense. It makes it like
you want to make some money, right?
No, exactly. Like there are just going to be some games on this board when you have the bracket that they have that you're just not really going to be interested in. Like, I don't really have a hankering to watch Washington play Penn State. Okay. Like, I don't think a lot of people are like, man, the Huskies are taking on the Nittany Lions. Like, I'd much rather a Nebraska game or like Michigan playing UCLA or something like that. That's a game I would watch, Michigan play. I would love to watch Iowa play a team like maybe Indiana, at like 4:00. But like Maryland is going to end up playing USC. Like that's the night game. It's stupid. It's stupid. It doesn't. I don't know. It's just one of those. It's one of those things where it's like this conference does some things where you start questioning like how seriously do they take baseball from time to time.
Are you being nice?
I'm being nicer than usual.
Because there
are plenty of things, I'm sure.
What their attention to baseball, which credit is better, but in terms of reaching the passion that we have around here for college baseball, yeah. We got some work.
I was being nice.
So Nebraska's 67 in the RPI. So Creighton, this shows you Big East baseball. So Creighton has won 16 of 18, right? Their starting pitching has found a home. They actually might be able to line up 3 starters where they could just through Ohio. But UConn's got a horse at number 1, and you might end up playing St. John's in the first game. But you've won 16 of 18, and you need 2 more to win the regular season and to get the number 1 seed, to share the regular season, but you get the number 1 seed. So you would think, okay, playing well. RPI's improving. We move from next 4 out to the first 4 out. 52 is the RPI for Creighton this morning. UConn is 39. Xavier is 44. What may come back to hurt Creighton if they're not able to get the auto? 0 quad 1 wins. I'm wondering when Mark Kingston takes over, because there's some chatter that Creighton will go to play in Coral Gables next year on a weekend series in February. If Creighton looks to increase their schedule so that even because you think if you win the regular season of the Big East, you think, oh, we got a pretty good chance. Not really.
No,
not really.
No.
That if they work on their schedule next year where they maybe schedule in some more quad 1 win games.
Sure.
And instead of looking, okay, let's schedule to get to 35 wins every year. Let's schedule to make our resume good, and we will run through the Big East. And so we'll be fine at this time of the year.
Well, look at Nebraska. They had a tough schedule, and they didn't play well during their tough schedule, but the games that they ended up winning helped their RPI massively, where they're on that 60, like they're in the 60-50 range, right? And they're 500, 1 game over 500 now. Like there is a benefit, even if you lose those Q1 games, because having them on the schedule brings some advantage to it. Just as long as you win a couple of them.
During the first game against Xavier about a week ago, that Glenn and Connor were kind of discussing the schedule dynamics, and Glenn alluded that next year there's going to be some higher profile games.
Well, I mean, Ed usually schedules to find a way to get to 30 wins. Just that, that's what he's done. Now, Nebraska has not helped them out.
Yeah.
You're going to get Nebraska 3 times.
Yeah.
But Nebraska is not a quad 1 in the college baseball world, a quad 1 category.
Did that used to be like, because now we're in the era of RPI where the amount of wins doesn't necessarily matter. It's the quality of wins and what your analytics
and
is that just not adjusting
and quite
to things?
Frankly, are you playing in one of the 3 big conferences in college baseball?
No, you're not. No. So it's like, is the whole, we want to get to 30, like, was that the old school, like, type deal?
Yeah. A little bit.
And then it just never adjusted?
And then you would add, 12 maybe out of your own conference. So there you're at, 40.
Sure.
Yeah. A little old schoolish.
Yeah. Cause that makes sense. Like, I'm sure back in early 2000s, before we had all these analytics or whatnot, it was about, oh, look at Creighton, look at this team, look at whatever team. They got 41 wins this year. They must be having a great year. Now you have teams that, aren't that many games over 500 that are ranked pretty high in the RPI just because it's all about the quality as opposed to the quantity.
All right. We'll have baseball next week. 2 conference tournaments in this town. One over at Tal Anderson, one downtown, and one in Ohio, where Creighton will be. I got a great story about that tournament next week that I'm going to share. I know people are like, hey, maybe it could come to Omaha. Maybe Creighton could play the Big East tournament at Tal Anderson or Werner Park. I don't think it's leaving Ohio, where it doesn't cost you anything to go to a game or eat.
What is it, the Masters?
Save it for next week. I heard a fantastic story about how that tournament, the Big East will never leave Ohio, but it does not cost you to go to a game or eat there.
Wow. It's pretty cool.
But there are some things you have to follow.
Sure.
That are a little bit.
You got to be a patron. Can't call them fans. We don't call it the BP. We call it the practice facility.
You have to put up with some Bible verses, and you have
Sure.
to put up with maybe your walk-up song would be Jack and Diane would be not allowed at the Big East baseball tournament. Yeah. We had a fascinating conversation that I'll share next week when we get to the Big East baseball tournament. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Luke Mullen coming up from the Lincoln Journal-Star, covers Nebraska softball. They open up today in Baton Rouge against UConn. We'll get his thoughts on the season of Jordy. Mike Schaefer has bailed on the show today. That's okay. I'll talk some Cruton.
Tis.
We had a big day in the 402 and the Big O yesterday when it comes to Cruton. Matt Verzal will stop by as well on a Friday edition of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. So no anonymous quotes. Bill Belichick just was on Good Morning America. Sat down with Michael Strahan. He said that Jordan Hudson is terrific. He described his girlfriend that he acknowledged in his book. We have a personal relationship. He said that she is, let me get the quote here. She is his idea mill and creative muse. He was asked further about the relationship. This was his response. It did appear, we didn't have the sound on, but just watching the interview here in studio, looked like he was reading off a teleprompter. His quote was, I'm not talking about personal relations, Michael. You know that. Strahan asked, are you happy? Yeah, Belichick said with a smile. And then they moved on.
I mean, considering the S storm that happened last week, I think he's actually handled it pretty well. If we're being honest, they've removed her from the program. They've basically axed any idea that she's involved in football, and he did the interview, and he's just like, yeah, we're not talking about it, but I have a girlfriend. It's the best, considering all the things that were coming out last week about her forcing herself into different areas. I actually think the PR team did a decent job. That new hire really, really paid dividends.
Did you ever think there'd be a world where he would write a book? And I'm kind of interested in, my yearly trip to Barnes & Noble to pick up Phil Steele, to looking through Belichick's book.
Yeah.
And scanning it.
I do that all the time too, where I pick up it's fantasy football magazines for me, because I'm still old school with the paperback, and you go to the autobiography section and then you just start reading all the athlete stuff. Ray Lewis, I read 60 pages of his book and then put it right back on the shelf.
But I might grab the Belichick book and
just flip right to do you think there will be there's a chapter called the Hudson articles?
Did you ever think, he said in this interview this morning that she is in the book. Did you ever think that she would be mentioned in the book and there would be no Bob Kraft in the book?
Oh.
Which there is not.
That's crazy.
Welcome to the new world.
So I'm flipping to the chapter 4, Creative Muse. That's where I'm flipping. And then I'm flipping all the way back to the Malcolm Butler saga, because I need to officially find out what the hell happened.
For everybody that got my Phil Steele reference there, and I just got an email from Barnes & Noble, because when I went there to buy the Phil Steele magazine.
Did you sign up for points?
Well, they're like, hey, your next trip in, you can get $5 off if you become a member of the Barnes & Noble Club. So I just got an email earlier in the week that said, we haven't seen you in about a year. And I'm like, that's right. July 4th weekend, I'll be in there to get the hard copy of Phil Steele's magazine.
Did they offer you another promo code or discount or anything like that?
No, they're like, hey, we just haven't seen you.
So Peter knows what I'm talking about.
There's a new Barnes & Noble out at Shadow Ridge.
Back in the day when GameStop was a big deal,
mm-hmm.
I would purposefully buy my games in a big sleuth, and then I wouldn't go to GameStop for 8 months, because if you were signed up, they would send you all these hey, please come back. Please, here's a discount.
Matt,
here's that. We miss you so much. We're going out of business. We need you to buy. And then I would go back with 4 different coupons.
Matt, we haven't seen you camp out the night before a big release.
So is it like when you drop Sirius XM and they just flood you?
Yes.
We want you to come back. $3 for the next 6 months.
No, you got to play the game. There's just there are some subscription services where you got to know your way around the pony. GameStop was one of them.
Is that a mixed sports book reference?
That was a Preakness reference. My grandfather always dropped that.
Okay. When we come back, let's talk about the quarterback at Nebraska. Because a lot of people talk about the quarterback at Nebraska. And they talk about quarterbacks that reside here in the Metro Omaha area that yesterday got an offer from a quarterback whisperer. That's coming up in the next hour of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star will join us in about 40 minutes. Thoughts on Nebraska's softball regional down in Baton Rouge, where
I think he's there right now, or he's currently on his way. I don't know. I was kind of confused by the text that he sent me, but he will be boots on the ground.
As Jordy Ball begins for Nebraska on ESPN Plus, even though she's featured in USA Today today, and also Omaha opens up against Cal, both in the same hour, both on ESPN Plus. The road to Oklahoma City begins. So Luke will join us coming up in about 40 minutes here on Gary and Matt. We will be blessed. We are always blessed that Oklahoma City will be bumping on Sunday with Game 7 between the Thunder and the Nuggets.
I'll be sweating.
You as a Thunder fan. Now, are you going to be haunted by what happened last night where you had a double-figure lead and then blew it on the road in a closeout game?
I never expected them to win that game. I thought Denver was going to, even when it got to that 12-point margin, I was like, I think Denver's still winning this game.
I actually had multiple text messages with people, and the consensus was that Denver was going to win that game. It just felt like a Denver win. It just felt like that crowd was into it, that Murray looked really, really good, and like Jokic seemed like he was done with the slump.
Yeah, you cannot.
He got some help last night.
Oh yeah, big time. But he played great too.
Yeah, I was like, the best basketball player in the world is not going out at home. They'll force a game 7.
Now,
so
I mean,
and that series to me since Game 3, that overtime game. After that, I was like, this just feels destined to go 7 games.
We need 7, is what you were saying.
I think that I just had the feeling like this is going to be a 7-game series. These teams are a lot more evenly matched, despite the regular season records than people think.
The playoffs needed this for sure, with all of the 3-1 leads and just overall, just how, I mean, even back to the first round when you had 1 Game 7 with Houston versus Golden State. Unfortunately, though, we're all going to get really excited for Sunday, and then Oklahoma City's going to blow out Denver.
I'm not so sure.
I'm very sure. I'm very confident.
Would I like
this
that?
Is going to be
sure, I would love that.
A very 20-point, 15-point, or just like hey, Oklahoma City's just going to control this thing from wire to wire. I think that building is going to be too into it. It's going to be too loud. They're going to have some awesome color scheme that you've never seen before. And then I think Jokic is just coming back like in this series, and how much he's had to do with the injury that he's had. And you got Murray, who probably will still be nursing an illness. I just think it's just been too much. It's just the load has been weighed too heavily on the Nuggets, and the Oklahoma City's deeper. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty easy win for
role
the Thunder.
players play well at home, so that could work in the advantage of Oklahoma City. But I don't doubt 15. I mean, in Game 7, he'll be a beast. Will he get help from Strother? I mean, Gordon's got a hamstring, which would be a problem. But I think 15 will be. I mean, he'll be Game 7 mode.
And what I think is going to be something to note is now that there's this whole series, it's been 1 off day in between games. There's going to be 2 off days before Game 7. That is actually exactly what Denver needed because of Aaron Gordon's hamstring. I don't know what the extent of that is. What he
didn't sound good. They were talking about in the postgame.
Yeah, they did not seem super optimistic about it. But having that extra day, we'll see. I think that could be a huge factor how much he can go on Sunday.
Somehow Denver found a way to win last night by wearing jerseys that were confusing to the masses.
I hate those. I think they're the worst.
In the playoffs, they were wearing the 5280s.
I don't get the wearing your alternates in the playoffs. I don't understand it, okay? Like, especially in big games. Like 2016, when the Cavs were wearing the black jerseys, like, that annoyed me, all right? Just wear your regulars.
Yeah, I don't think that you can be accused of having an old man take, like when you say something like that, because we're on the same page. Wear your normal uniforms and don't mess with your floor.
No.
Okay, we're in the postseason.
Oh, yeah. No. We've done that too, where they completely changed what the floor looked. Didn't Golden State do that?
Yeah,
where
Indiana does that too.
The graffiti court.
Utah, when they were playing in the postseason, they used to do that with the fire court or whatever.
The national park, the rock. I don't even know what it's called.
So we do get a Game 7. We may get a Game 7 at Boston Garden, depending on what happens tonight at MSG. The Celtics have to win I think they won Game 5 on adrenaline.
Knicks are 0-6 in their last closeout games at Madison Square Garden.
No, I know it could be a tension convention there.
But
we are guaranteed one Game 7. So this will actually be the third straight Game 7 that Denver has played in. Why doesn't? Because we say in one sport, Game 7.
Yeah.
And we get all emotional. We think this is going to be the greatest 60 minutes of hockey. Do we do that in the NBA or in baseball?
Ooh, baseball, yes. Baseball for sure. Just because I think the game moves well enough in baseball, especially now with the pitch clock, where it's like you can build a lot of tension heading into the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. I can't really tell you why, but I don't really get that fired up for a Game 7 in the NBA unless it's in the finals. Unless it's hey, this is the last game of the year, or maybe even the Western or Eastern Conference Finals. I can't tell you why though. I don't get fired. You're absolutely right. Don't get fired up. Don't know why.
Now, different for you because that's your team. But NBA Game 7s don't.
To the neutral fan, and I think because we had 2 Game 7s in the first round. The Golden State Houston game did not deliver whatsoever.
Clippers Denver did not.
Clippers both blowouts. They were pretty much done and dusted by the fourth quarter. But I think there's just something about a hockey Game 7 that gravitates to neutral viewers more than basketball, especially in the earlier rounds. Because in hockey, I just feel like those feel like bigger moments, even when it's first, second round.
Every scoring chance is like a hold your breath, holy crap,
I think it's the sudden death nature of it that gets to that point. As in basketball, it's it's a 20-point game.
Well, that and every goal can be like the last goal of the series in hockey. That first goal, it could end up being a 1-0 game. You've seen plenty of those. And again, it could be 2-1. It's over. I think it's just the nature of the game of basketball, at least NBA basketball, where, all right, it's competitive and they're sparring. And at some point you're like, this is either a blowout or just wake me up when there's 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Right. And maybe you'll have that 12-0 run in the beginning of the fourth quarter where it's like, oh my God, this is where the game swung. But then that game was exciting for about a minute and a half, 2.5 minutes worth of play, where in hockey, it just seems like because of the nature of the low scoring affair, you're literally you're freaking out every time there's a power play or a penalty kill, or you have the puck in the zone for a while.
And now we have 2 Game 6s where there's an entirely different feel with the road team going into those games, whether you be Toronto or Winnipeg after Winnipeg won last night. We'll talk to Matt Verzal coming up the next hour. He's a puckhead as well. So we are smack dab in the off season. I talked to one of our colleagues who does this for a living in a different market in this state, and he was like, "This could be the roughest off season for content, trying to generate stuff." And I said, "No, you." I go, "Hey, we both made it through COVID. We're going to be fine."
Sure.
He goes, "It just seems like this is going to be a grind. Come up with stuff to talk about." Just go off
you can't.
Spring.
We can't really invite movie directors on and call it "Hey, that's a segment."
Yeah. So I said, "Well, what about lists?" And he said, "I have to save those. I have to save those for June, July." He goes, "At least you guys got the College World Series." He goes, "I don't have the College World Series unless Nebraska's playing." He goes, "What if Nebraska baseball is not in the NCAA tournament?" He goes, "Then it's going to be a grind." He goes,
when has anybody said that in the last 10 years, though, by the way, that they really need?
But, even people that we work with in the building are like, "Man, this could be a rough offseason." I'm like, "No." I go, "There's so much talent on the air. Everybody will find something to talk about." So let's talk about Dylan Raiola's ranking.
It's list season, baby. Hey, you're lucky you got a partner who loves list season, who literally the radio that I grew up listening to, even during the season, it was a list season.
Was KLST?
Yeah, it was literally hey, we're in week 8 of the football season. Here's a list.
Well, first let me, I get Dylan's freshman year.
In what way?
That it was not 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I was hoping maybe he'd have a Rocco Breck year.
Sure.
But there are other elements that played into the year that happened. Okay?
Yeah.
And I do expect him to make a natural growth, which things that are around him and things that he's going to do, it'll be a more I think it'll be more consistent this upcoming year. But sometimes when you say, that first 4 games compared to the last 9, even with 4 that included Dana Holgorsen, a little bit lopsided.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little bit of pushback. So Dillon is showing up. And again, returning quarterbacks, it's better for Nebraska to have a returning quarterback and to have that guy as your potential, what he could do as a potential in his second year.
Oh, yeah.
Where should he be ranked amongst quarterbacks in the Big Ten? We were talking about that list last week, and my affinity for Drew Aller.
Yes.
And my, why are we anointing Bryce Underwood? He hadn't played a game in this conference.
Yes.
So there's got like 2 ends of the spectrum, but I'm a Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier is a very good college quarterback.
I agree.
What if Dylan Raiola is just a good college quarterback and he's not this NFL guy we think? But that's for a discussion that we'll have in the second week of June before the College World Series. But there's a lot of we're going to bat for our guy.
Yeah.
Like when people take cracks at Dylan, this base rises up and says, not today. Okay. And you hope that continues his entire career at Nebraska.
You do.
Because there is a moment where you do turn on the quarterback. You'll come back, but you do turn on the quarterback. Where should he be properly ranked?
5.
Okay.
5. I think he should be.
Now I'm very curious to see who you have 3 and 4, because I think I know your top 2.
So my top 2 is Aller,
okay,
and Altmaier.
Okay.
I like Dante Moore. Dante Moore.
Who's at Oregon? Who was it? UCLA when they weren't in the Big Ten.
And who was a 5-star. Who was actually, I think he was the 5-star the year before Dylan.
Wasn't he a decommit from Michigan too?
I think
because he's from Detroit.
Yes,
decommitted and then went to UCLA.
Julian,
he had some connection to a commitment to Michigan.
So like this is where it gets like weird for me, right? Because most lists would put Julian Sayin 4. But are you putting Julian Sayin 4 because you think his numbers are going to be good? Or are you putting Julian Sayin 4 because you think he's a good quarterback? Because I have no problem putting him at 4 because he's probably going to have top 5 numbers because who is he throwing to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't consider him a top 5 quarterback. So I would put Fernando Mendoza 4.
Good ball knower there.
Behind Dante Moore. And then I would have a tie for 5th. Okay.
Now, can I go back to Sayin real quick?
Go ahead.
Do you think, and listen, he's the Dylan Raiola hype of 2025.
Yes.
Okay. Very similar website rankings. Do you think he gets more of a place on your list because of who he's going to play for? Also who he's throwing to.
Yes.
But look what happened to Will Howard. Look what has happened to Stroud. Look what has happened to Fields. That's just natural that he's with Ryan Day and he's with Chip Kelly and he's going to be...
Well, now Brian Hartline,
and he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I mean, because he's
without seeing him throw a football in a game where the scoreboard is turned on and they're doing the script Ohio.
That's my thing that's why I put him 7. Because I know he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. Also, we're talking about Elite 11 quarterback who is super talented. Okay. And he's throwing to these really talented guys. But like Underwood, I'm not putting Underwood in my top 5. I'm not putting him in my top 6. I got to see it because Dylan Raiola is great. Dante Moore were great. They went through their struggles as 5-stars, in their first full season of playing that. But I would have a tie for 5th. So like I said, I would go Aller, Altmaier, Moore, Mendoza. My tie for 5th is Dylan Raiola and Aiden Childs. I really, really like Aiden Childs. And I think Aiden Childs and Dylan Raiola are pretty similar in the fact that you saw some ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You saw some real ugly with Childs at Michigan State. I also saw athleticism. I saw the ability to throw outside of the pocket. I saw just some creativity. He was tough. Man, he got manhandled in a couple of these games. I really, really like Jonathan Smith. And the fact that Smith has that relationship with Childs, the fact that he brought him over from Oregon State, I think Childs and Raiola to start the year for me would be even. So that's why I would put a tie for 5th. I think both of those guys showed flashes, and they're both in pretty good spots.
What if Dillon had the same year that Nico had last year at Tennessee?
I think
would everybody would we be? I mean, hey, the team part, hell yeah. To go to be a team playing in a playoff game, hell yeah. But what if he had a very similar year?
I'd be happy with it.
In an offense at Tennessee, which is pretty structured. They had some weapons, but it's pretty structured. Now, the numbers didn't blow you away. He was 26-16 throwing, and he had 19 touchdown passes. And he's not the most mobile guy.
No.
I think he was maybe 350, that range, rushing yards, a couple of scores. It wasn't like one of his touchdowns was a 75-yard run down the middle of the field. They were, he's a guy that they relied on his arm.
I would take it.
His playmaking ability. Is he a plus 1.5 on the WAR scale for UCLA? That's to be.
Is
determined.
He a first-round draft pick? Maybe right now after last season? No, he's not.
But is he a guy that if a team that didn't need a starter right now but needed depth and maybe a future would say, hey, second or third round?
Oh, probably.
Yeah. So what if Dillon?
I would be honestly.
What if Dillon was Nico? I'm leaving on a plane to go to Westwood, year 2 in Knoxville. If Dillon was that in Lincoln,
I kind of expect Dillon to have the year that Nico had. Like, I think this is.
But that's okay to say that out loud, right?
No,
but I think in a safe space with Nico.
I think this is the natural. I think this is the natural progression, though, of what you want to see from Dylan Raiola, because he goes from and do you know? I don't have his interception numbers off the top of my head, but I mean, not the best touchdown interception ratio, but Nico had a 64% completion percentage. It's pretty good. He had 19 touchdowns. 22 total. Pretty good. 5 interceptions. Took care of the ball. Pretty good. That's kind of what I expect from Dillon. I expect him to increase his completion percentage. I expect him to lower his interceptions. I expect him to raise his touchdowns. What I don't expect him to do is to have 26 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and throw for 3,000 yards. Okay? Maybe in 2 years, right? Because if he progresses from 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions to 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, then you're now on that pace to, hey, this could be a Heisman candidate. So I think if you were to be like, hey, I'm going to set the line at Nico for Dillon, like this is the line I want him to be at, I think that'd be a fair line.
I think Dillon will have a 70% completion rate this year.
I don't think that's a bad take because I think they're going to use short passes as a part of the run game.
Bingo. So he was at 67% last year with all the gobbledygook that was going on offense. But if you look at his 4 games with his now full-time offensive coordinator, 3 of those 4 games he threw for over 70%. I mean, he's 22 of 30 in the muck of the Bronx. Even against USC, it was 27 of 38. I have said this because if you look at the history of the quarterback at Nebraska, and I know that there's a lot of the quarterback was more of a runner, 24 touchdown passes, 7 or less interceptions. I think you're cooking with peanut oil. But I think he'll throw for at least a completion rate of 70%.
I don't think
but the yardage might not be.
So the yards per attempt last year were 6.9.
Okay, so maybe it's 7.2.
And that'll be fine.
And what do you have? 2,819 passing yards, I believe, last year.
Oh my God. Good job. Ball knower. Football reference merchant.
I looked it up. I looked it up a while ago.
Hey, actually, I have to correct myself here because it was actually a good shot from the YouTube chat. I keep forgetting Nico is in the Big Ten. I have to adjust myself to that because it happened so late. So I guess I would put Nico 5, and then I would put Raiola and Childs after that. Watch out for Aiden Childs. I really like him. I watched because I worked with a guy who was really big into Michigan State football, and so I found myself watching them a little bit more than the average person. And they're don't get me wrong, man. There were some bumps. There were some ugly snaps where it's like he could not manage the pocket in some regards. It was bad. But he's got athleticism, and he made some plays where you're like, all right, I see the 4-star.
So here's a good kind of I'm turning this into a question from Ross.
Sure.
Buckeye Ross. do these rankings what they will look like at the end of the year, and give me your top 3. But let me throw in a name. Don't forget about this guy, and we will around here because Nebraska still doesn't know that Washington is in the Big Ten because you haven't seen Washington play. Williams, I'm impressed with. There's something about Jedd Fisch that I think in year 2, Washington will find a way to win 7. And if they win an 8th game, it is they upset somebody.
Yeah.
I like where they're headed. I like this quarterback. But they're going to be, they're going to be in the Pacific Northwest and people won't pay much attention to them because they're Washington. So put him on your radar. But give me, you just gave your top 5, 7.
7. I gave 7.
Okay. What will the top 3 look like when the season is over? I'll give you 4 because you may have to slide somebody in.
Give me 4.
Okay, I'll give you 4.
Aller 1. Altmaier 2. No. Aller 1, Moore 2. Altmaier 3. Fernando Mendoza 4. Dylan Raiola straight 5. Pure 5. 5 and only 5. Nico 6. Chiles 7. But I do think the quarterback play in the Big Ten is going to be high quality. Like, I expect a lot of these guys to take jumps. I think a year from now, when we are talking about the Big Ten, we'll be talking about them as one of the best quarterback conferences in the country, period, and a story.
I'm right there with you. But is it a...
Like, it'll be, I'll tell you right now, it's 5, but it's a good 5.
Is it a conference that recruits and develops high school guys, or is better at acquiring a portal guy?
Okay.
So Ohio State has just gone through one of their own.
Yeah.
Somebody else's, both in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, and you bring up Dante Moore. Now, Moore hasn't played since he was a freshman.
I would count him as one of his own. I would say
no. He's a portal guy. So okay. Oregon could have 3 straight all conference quarterbacks out of the portal. Bo Nix, worked out well for him, right?
Yeah, pretty damn well.
Dylan Gabriel, he's going to be a New Orleans Saint before the year is over, and then possibly Dante Moore, who I thought was really good in Chip Kelly's offense at UCLA. He hasn't played since then. Well, so he was essentially sat out all last year.
He was thrown into
Gabriel.
The fire of like, hey, you're the 5-star at UCLA. Make us good.
But Moore will probably be better at Oregon than Gabriel because that's where I like where you're going. Because
I think
he gets the ball out quick. Now, Gabriel got the ball out quick, but Moore gets the ball out quicker in Wilson.
And he's a better
Will
athlete,
Stein's offense.
too.
Yeah. But will it be, we're seeing Nebraska. Nebraska can go and get the high school quarterback.
Sure.
Okay, so that's the route they're going to go. Iowa doesn't appear to be able to get a high school quarterback and develop him, so they have to go into the portal.
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it works for you to go in the portal and get a quarterback and develop them, then why the hell would you stop? If it works for you to go and get stack up high school guys, and that's how you start your quarterback, then do it.
Again, Luke Mullen coming up here in about 20 minutes on Nebraska softball, which opens up this today against UConn in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Hey, don't forget about Billy Edwards Jr., by the way.
I know you like that guy.
I love that guy.
Hope people in Madison hope he's everything.
They're going to be bad, but don't forget about Billy Edwards. It's now a running bit. I might walk in with a Wisconsin Edwards.
What about Kevin Jennings?
Is that the guy on Jeopardy?
That's your quarterback.
Who? Oh, my quarterback?
Yes.
No, Preston Stone.
Preston Stone's going to win that job?
Yeah. He better. He was like our coup de grace. He was like our piece de resistance. We're like, we got Stone.
All right, we're back with more Gary and Matt after this and see.
1620 The Zone is partnering up with Wellbeing Partners in the Celebrate Your Wellbeing Photo Contest. Submit a photo on how you focus on your well-being and practice self-care. Share your story online at 1620 The Zone.
All right, last night, Creighton basketball got their first pickup of 2026. Jaden Kahn, who is a 6'7" wing from Storm Lake, Iowa, who's been recruited by Iowa State, Nebraska, the Midwestern schools. Wasn't going to make his decision so soon, but said he couldn't wait any longer, and he is committed to Creighton. Now, if you want to go see him play, outside of the video that is being shared, the 3 SSB event for Adidas, the circuit, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, is right here in this town this weekend. You want to go gawk and look at the coaching row of the I actually the big name coaches. It costs money to go.
When is it again?
It starts today. It runs through the weekend over at Iowa West Fieldhouse over in Council Bluffs, which great facility. I've been to this almost every year. You are going to see like big name coaches that will be there and big name players. For example, last year in this, Darren Peterson. You follow high school basketball recruiting?
No, I really don't.
Considered the number one player in the country, committed to KU, is going to KU. He was playing here last year. But Jaden Kahn's team, which is D1 Minnesota, is in the top, the
bracket.
I think they call it, they have it like Superstar A, Superstar B. They have a rivalry. They have a form, the way they break it up. But D1 Minnesota is with Jalen Green Elite, ETG, which is Omaha, and then Compton Magic, which is always really, really good. BABC is like a banger. Mm-hmm. But if you want to go see him, it's a 3-day event. It's a whole different world. That whole world and that event is on a whole different planet.
This might be a dumb question, but when you go to an event like that, do they give you a piece of paper that says all the rankings and ratings and
unless you're a coach and you pay like $500 to get the book?
Really?
Yeah, and it has all the prospects that are playing, but most coaches already know what they're looking for. Yeah,
but
they don't like that. I don't think they have a program. You got your phone.
I know, but that's annoying.
There's a bunch of hoop heads. There's a bunch of social media people there taking pictures and following athletes.
Wouldn't that be nice though if you had like Jaden Kahn, 4-star, 108th rated, committed here? Like, okay, number 32. I'm going to keep my eyes on that guy. For the simpletons who aren't invested in that world,
they will say, "You got a phone? You got 24/7.
So you
got On 3.
You know what?
You got ESPN.
Old man yelling at clouds here. Don't tell me. Oh, if you want a program, scan the QR code. Well, you know what? Your Wi-Fi sucks. Okay, your Wi-Fi is terrible. Right? Every stadium I go to has some of the worst Wi-Fi. So don't tell me to scan the QR code when I can't look at the program. How about you just cut down a couple of trees, print out a program like it used to be, and that way I can just flip through and see who I'm looking at. Because every stadium is like, scan the QR code, even though I cannot access your Wi-Fi.
Nebraska football still sells a program.
I mean, it's everywhere.
Creighton basketball still sells a program.
Nebraska football has to, because that Wi-Fi isn't going to work.
You can also download the program too.
I mean,
you get that in your.
I mean, Nebraska football Wi-Fi has turned into Sasquatch for the last 4 years. All we've heard about is going to get better. It's going to get better. We're installing a new broadband network.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what broadband network was.
Old man, I'm with you. If you're going to promote going to your phone to enter a contest or text to win, you got to increase the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I'm talking to you, PBA. But when I want to enter in for a George Strait sweepstakes sponsored by Walmart, and I can't because the internet doesn't work.
Here's why I think it might be a conspiracy to have bad internet at Memorial Stadium.
Why? So you can't spoil the game?
No,
you can't.
Two things.
Okay.
One, you notice there are more out-of-town scores more frequently shown.
Yeah.
Okay, on the ribbon boards.
Sure. Yeah. I love a good ribbon board.
And they want you to watch the game, not watch the game on your phone or be on your phone. So if you get frustrated, I might have to watch the game. Now, I like having both at my disposal, but I'm just saying, some people are like, you know what? So if the Wi-Fi is bad, maybe it'll force them to watch the game.
What do you mean you like having both at your disposal? It's a necessity to have both at your disposal. It's not that I'm going to watch another game. I'm going to be like,
oh, you'll never last if you ever get to go to Augusta. you will be screwed.
Well, I'm talking about from this.
You and DB would
No.
be awful. Like, there's no way. I told DB forever. I'm like, there's no way you go to Augusta. You can't use your phone. What are you going to do for 4 hours?
My screen
You'd be
time
messed up. DB's doing color on the rest game, and he's on his phone. It's like texting and tweeting and stuff and watching the game.
My screen time per week, 7.5 or per day, 7.5 hours. I don't think it's that bad.
No.
I think 7.5 is pretty. I'm not that obsessed with it, but at the same time, I got to let people know I'm going to Sandy's.
Luke Mullen from the Lincoln Journal-Star will join us next. All right, the people in Louisiana get the Jordy Ball experience today. Nebraska softball opens up the NCAA tournament. Omaha is in Norman. They take on Cal. Nebraska takes on UConn. And we take on Luke Mullen, who joins us now from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Good morning, Luke.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, before we talk softball, can we talk some football?
Absolutely.
What's your impression of the quarterback recruiting for Nebraska? And I ask this because yesterday was for us that follow and know guys here in Omaha that play high school football. Alabama dropped an offer in Omaha. Virginia, Michigan State to Braylon Warren. And they both don't have a Nebraska offer. And Nebraska, if they were going to offer Jet Tomala or Braylon Warren, they would have done it by now. Not saying they can't, but they probably would have. Dayton Raiola is the quarterback in the class of 2026. Do you think he'll be the only quarterback, high school quarterback, that Nebraska recruits for next year?
Yeah, I don't really see a scenario in which they could take two high school quarterbacks in the same year. Yeah, and it was interesting to see that. I mean, that's a big time offer. Obviously, he's a great recruit up there, Tomala, and seeing the attention from these programs, it obviously leaves people wondering, why isn't Nebraska in on these recruits? And I think from Matt Rule's perspective, it's just a case of, yeah, these guys are from within the state, but that doesn't mean that they're going to prioritize them more than top recruits from other states, which is, hard for some people to take, but they have a clear profile of who they want to recruit. They're going to go out and recruit nationally. And from the in-state guys that they have picked up these last few cycles, they're still going after some of the in-state talent, but it certainly doesn't mean that every FBS top-level Power 5 guy is going to be on Nebraska's radar at this point.
Does it make it easier for Nebraska or harder for Nebraska that the attention towards Omaha kids has increased and the talent has increased?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it definitely does make it harder just because, Nebraska's one school, right? You've got however many assistant coaches you have that you can send out there on the road, however many visits you can make in these schools. Well, obviously you've got these programs, Omaha West Side, Millard South, these titans of Omaha high school football that are having these college coaches in almost every day, during these open recruiting periods. So when you put it like that, if you think, okay, maybe this kid really likes Nebraska, but he only sees the Nebraska coaches, one or two times, you get exposed to 10 other schools. I mean, it really broadens your perspective. And so I think that the success at those places has really helped those recruits elevate just because get those coaches in the building, how those high school coaches go. They'll show them some film. We'll talk about their guys. So that's been a big boon for those schools.
Luke, I want to give kudos to you, man, and the coverage you've done this year for Nebraska softball. Incredible work. And I do want to let people know, too, this isn't just this year renaissance. You've been covering this team pretty heavily over the last couple of years, and so I'm glad you're getting some flowers here. But, it's funny. You're in Baton Rouge, and we're getting ready for the NCAA tournament. It's a really big deal, but we thought we would have this moment last year, right? We thought that this was going to be, a 2024 thing, not a 2025 thing, but Jordy Ball ends up tearing her knee up in her first, first or second game, but early on in the season. But my question to you is, Luke, was Jordy Ball going down last year a blessing in disguise because it allowed Nebraska softball to use her as a chess piece when it came to transfer portal recruiting?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, she'll see the silver lining in it. She's a competitor. Sure. She's glad to be back out there this year. And certainly what they did in flipping the roster this year was very tactical. You look at the players they added, they're almost all juniors or sophomores who line up with Ball's eligibility. Pretty much the whole team, with the exception of two starters, will be back next year. But to go back to your earlier point, I mean, it's hard to replay the 2024 season, but if Ball hadn't got hurt, I mean, Nebraska was a top 15 team in the country. I mean, they had a top-notch hitting order. Obviously, the pitching depth let them down the stretch without Ball in there. So realistically, I mean, they could have been in the same position last year. They could have been a regional host, perhaps. They would have rolled through the Big Ten last year. I mean, that much is clear. But if you look at what it did for Jordy, she was very clear coming into the year that she was kind of burnt out. The grind of being a collegiate athlete, working on your craft 24/7, 365, it was kind of getting to her. Yeah. So having that injury, yeah, she was still, doing rehab, doing all sorts of work, but the pressure wasn't really on. So I think the mental reset for Jordy was the biggest thing there last year.
How do you describe the Jordy Bahl phenomenon to somebody that is just starting to catch on to Nebraska softball? Because, I hear people not even looking at the bracket and going, oh, Nebraska will be playing Tennessee in the Super Regional. What do you mean? I mean, it's going to be a great pitching regional. LSU at home is going to be tough. And they're like, we got 98 in the circle, and we got her at the plate. How do you describe the impact of what she does to just the whole how we look at Nebraska softball?
Yeah, it's certainly, when I've been there, watching 50 games over the course of the season, you kind of get desensitized to the greatness. Like when she goes out there and she throws 5, 6, 7 innings, pretty much every time, striking out 10, one hit here, maybe a couple runs here or there. Just the level of consistency, the sustained greatness that she's had is so impressive. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but she's probably thrown, 350 innings at the collegiate level. She's probably got a career ERA around, 1.3, 1.4. I mean, it's staggering how impressive she is. And it's maybe a little bit difficult to pick up on what makes her so difficult. From a hitting perspective, the way that Jordy mixes those pitches, the rise ball, the off speed, her changeup is just deadly. She mixes them up and down in the strike zone. She spins the ball really hard on some of those pitches. It's just so difficult for the hitters to pick up what's coming their way. And you say, okay, you've got this phenomenal pitcher. She's one of the best in the nation, All-American. And oh yeah, she's hitting about 460 at the plate, 19 homers. I mean, it's just incredible what she's done this year.
I know a lot of the attention, and rightfully so, is on Jordy Bahl, but Ava Cusack has had an incredible season. Talk about her impact, but also, she was a transfer from Wisconsin. She had a solid year last year, hitting about 320 from the plate. But now, I mean, her numbers have absolutely skyrocketed. Did you anticipate that she was going to be this impactful of a transfer portal acquisition earlier in the year?
Yeah, I don't think I did, honestly. I thought, yeah, she's going to be a good shortstop.
Yeah.
Hit some extra bases, hit for average, but the power uptick has been incredible. And I think you got to give a lot of the credit to Nebraska's hitting coach, Diane Miller. She's worked with these players, of course, for years and years. She's been a part of this Rhonda Revelle coaching staff for a long time as well. But the changes in Nebraska this year, and, a lot of this stuff is behind the scenes in practice, but they've been so focused on like swinging through some of these zones in the strike zone, selecting the right pitches. And there's been a couple times this year where, hey, the hitting's not been good. They've been swinging too early in the counts, and Rhonda Revelle, she's got on those players like, hey, you got to stick to the game plan. Like, we can't be swinging at bad pitches like that. So there's just this mindset in the team where they've been drilled to look for those great pitches. And then when you have the talent, somebody like Ava Cusack, like the first 2 years, she's developing at Wisconsin, she showed elements of that power, but it comes to Nebraska, you just have that confidence. We've heard from the players, like when you're playing with Jordy Bahl, like that kind of raises them a level too. They believe in each other. They believe in the effectiveness of this team, and that's obviously shown up in her results this year.
And both of them in the lineup, they both hit 19 home runs, and then Samantha Bland is in double figures. So this is one of the storylines. So you move from the circle to the plate. They have 98 home runs. As a team, they're hitting 352. Everybody in the lineup is hitting at least 300. And then you have Jordy and Cusack, 458 and 421 respectively. They don't strike out a bunch. They score a lot of runs. But now this is a whole different animal, Luke. If you say they'll be okay pitching-wise, but how do they navigate a really good LSU team and a good team today in UConn who won the Big East and put up a big crooked number in the championship game? Offensively, what is it? How do you navigate? Because I don't know that you're going to hit a plethora of home runs. How do you think their offense, what do they have to do to get to super regional?
Yeah, well, I think first, when you look at this regional, it's quite difficult, actually, in my opinion. UConn, that's a team that scores a lot of runs, so we'll see what shakes out today. Obviously, against Jordy, if she does indeed throw as we expect, that should be a difficult matchup for them. But, LSU as well, they've been a little up and down, and I think today's matchup, they're playing Southeastern Louisiana. That could be a difficult one for them. That was a 3-2 ball game earlier this year LSU narrowly won that one at home. So they might have to throw Berger today. That's something that I'll be looking for. But from an offensive standpoint, I think we're going to see a little more small ball this weekend. Yes, this is a team that hits for power. They're going to be swinging for the fences at times, but Rhonda Revelle coming into the year, she was like, hey, we got a fast team. We're going to be active on the base pass. And, I'm not sure that's really transpired all year with the quality of hitters they have. I mean, everybody's hitting almost 300 in that batting order. They've been more content at just letting those hitters go to work. But you get to this point of postseason softball, leadoff walk, like, fun them over.
Sure.
We're going to see some of that. We're going to see some steals, some aggressiveness. And I think a lot of what it's going to come down to is ultimately how does this order produce top to bottom? Because we know Jordy, we know Ava Kuzak, as you mentioned at the top of that order, hitting over 400. These players have been very good all year long, but they've had a lot of run roll wins. They've had some low scoring games against quality pitching. It's not been a case of where, they've been able to hit every pitcher. I mean, they've had some pitchers that have had really good games against them. So they're just going to need to stick with it and I think be aggressive on the base pass.
Hey, Luke, what the hell is ESPN doing having this game at 12 o'clock on ESPN Plus? And then if they win this game, they end up having it at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't know exactly the TV numbers on that. And, obviously Jordy brings in a lot of eyeballs.
Exactly.
I think those SEC programs, those are the ones that they know the eyeballs are going to be on the softball tournament. So, yeah, it is a little disappointing that we don't get to see some of these games over broadcast just yet. But certainly, I think people loading up the ESPN Plus subscription. I saw some crazy news there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the prices are, what you can buy, what you can't buy anymore. It's all over my head.
Yeah, you go from the 2 o'clock first pitch on ESPN Plus, and then the LSU game is on the SEC Network at 4:30. Outside of Nebraska, what are the chances of the Big Ten sticking a team in Oklahoma City? Because all I hear about is the SEC, and I mean, they had 7 of the top 8 national seeds. Any chance for a Big Ten team, whether it be Nebraska, in your opinion, Luke, or somebody else that could make it to Oklahoma City?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would actually, the 2 national seeds, of course, UCLA and Oregon, they're going to have the best chance with the home field advantage. And, I was a little bit surprised to see Oregon get upset in the Big Ten tournament. They had a great regular season. They're a quality team. But you look at UCLA, they've got 3 pitchers who I would say are ace quality. I mean, they've only thrown, like 120 innings each. They haven't had to have these crazy workloads. So I think that's going to give UCLA such a big advantage. I think they're going to go all the way to Oklahoma City ultimately. But I will say, look at the regional that Nebraska could match up with going to the Supers. That's, of course, Tennessee's regional. Ohio State's there. And that's a team that we talked about Nebraska's offense, their home run hitting. Well, Ohio State led the nation in home runs. I mean, that is a team that knows how to hit the softball. So I think just as in the same vein that LSU might not have liked, hey, Nebraska's coming to our regional, we're going to have to play Jordy Ball. I think Tennessee's going to be looking at that like, man, Ohio State's going to come in here looking to score some runs.
Hey, Luke, as always, we appreciate it. Great coverage.
Awesome coverage.
We get to see a little bit more with football. Enjoy the weekend and enjoy this Jordy Ball experience, because it's one thing we don't see very much around here, the kind of confidence and swag that fans have because of 98 being on the mound or in the circle.
Yeah, it's special. I'll tell you what, it's hot and humid down here in Baton Rouge. It's only the morning. So
hey, good luck.
It's a dry heat, though.
Yes.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah.
It's actually not.
Luke,
Hey,
Luke, thank you. Should be a great atmosphere. I'm the nerd that sometimes goes to bed with the SEC Network on. You turn it on, they're showing a replay.
You go to bed with the SEC Network on, Feinbaum?
I've watched Feinbaum a little bit more this week because he was at the Regions in Hoover Golf, so he has a lot of.
Are you a trader? You Gary Herbstreit?
Oh, well, my best friend is
kidding.
Face of
I'm
SEC
kidding.
Network.
I'm kidding.
Come on.
I'm kidding.
I love the SEC Network. I think there's a reason why that network is so good, is they promote, but they have really good auxiliary programming, and they have Marty and McGee every Saturday morning, which I don't miss very often. He's on the SEC Network. But
I actually do like the Paul Feinbaum show.
But I like this time of the year. I like to watch a lot of college baseball and college softball.
Sure.
And they run it. Once the season starts in February, they're running on the weekends.
Yeah.
They are running baseball and softball. I mean, they got NCAA games, of course, with their ESPN contract. the atmosphere looks great. That's why I also think, like in Norman, where they have a 4,200 seat stadium, and then you know what the College World Series softball stadium looks like in Oklahoma City at the Hall of Fame. I mean, Norman, and when you win that many titles in a row and are as dominant and dynasty that OU softball is, you have a palace to the sport. Yeah. I think it's really cool for Omaha to get to play in that and experience big time softball, because the atmosphere last year in Columbia, which Omaha made it a game away from going to the Super, was a really, really good atmosphere. That's why when you miss out on Bowling, you're like, man, this is what it's like in a little bit smaller venue.
Sure.
Don't be surprised if Omaha pulls an upset or two along the way. I'm not saying they're going to beat Oklahoma, but having Groff, having Mattia, and she's got some experience because Southern Illinois was in the NCAA tournament last year.
Great point.
I don't be surprised if Omaha pulls off an upset or two. Remember, last year they started out 2-0. They beat 2 Power 4 schools. They then had to beat Mizzou twice in Columbia on Sunday. Couldn't do it, but their standard. I think Mike was on earlier this week. Mike Hurd. Well, I know he was on. It's their standard. This is nothing different. This is like a weekend playing regular softball. It just happens we're playing teams that are really, really good. We expect to win. Sure. So I think this will be a good weekend for Nebraska and Omaha softball. I think Nebraska does have a really good chance to get to the Super, which they'd face Tennessee, and they already played in Clearwater earlier this year.
And they got Nebraska softball specifically. When you talk about a player, when they step in the mound or step in the circle, and you're confident that they can win, they have that right there in 98. So anything can happen.
Yeah, it's the Shane Comine effect.
Yeah.
And I saw that firsthand. I had a front row seat to that you don't know who you're playing, but you had the Hawaiian Punch-Out on the mound on a Friday night, and you're like, oh, Nebraska's going to win. That's what it is.
It's an incredible feeling.
And with Jordy's situation, she can pitch a lot more.
Sure.
And you just go, yeah, Nebraska's going to be fine because we have Jordy Ball. It's an amazing thing to see, rare. And it's an amazing thing to have if you're Ronda Ravel.
It is so rare, by the way, to have that. Like, I think like once in my life that I've been confident enough in a guy that I was rooting for. I was hoping they would win, where I'm like, all right, if they got in, we're okay. For Nebraska softball to have that, it's incredible.
All right, we come back. Something we started the interview with Luke with about some local recruiting. Yeah. Alabama went searching for the 26 quarterback, and they came all the way to Omaha yesterday. But so did other schools.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we return. Matt Verzal coming up as well. All right, Mike Schaefer unable to join us, so we are going to talk recruiting.
Yay!
Was that sarcastic?
A little, but I like recruiting. I like recruiting. I like recruiting. I'll learn to love recruiting. I like recruiting.
Recruiting is the lifeblood of a football program, right? Basketball program,
which is exactly why I like it. I'm going to learn to love it, baby.
Not everybody has to like recruiting. I mean, that's pretty clear. But you cannot deny.
Oh, the importance and literally. No,
yes.
I mean, it is. You're not going to get any pushback from me there. I mean, it is. You don't build programs without good recruiting. You can have all the great coaching in the world and everything like that, but if you don't have dudes, it doesn't matter.
So in Omaha, and we have not had a run of Power 4 quarterbacks, but we have kind of late, from Zane Flores from Gretna, who's at Oklahoma State, to Danny Kaelin, Nebraska, now at Virginia. And now we have in the class of 26, which means you'll be a senior in the fall, Jet Tomala, who is committed to Iowa State verbally, who's at Millard South running that offense for the defending state champs. Millard South might have the best collection of talent that a high school football team has had in Class A since I've been following Class A football. I mean, they're loaded top to bottom. Then you have Braylon Warren, who is at another place that has a plethora of talent at Westside.
Mm-hmm.
But Braylon is in class of 27. And as we are in the month of May and coaches are on the road and recruiting, those two quarterbacks who are going to play at Power 4 schools got interesting offers yesterday.
Yes.
First with Braylon. So Braylon was offered by Michigan State, and Braylon's got a laundry list of schools, majority of them in the Midwest, but he's got a laundry list of really good schools that have offered him. Virginia, Michigan State yesterday. I think Jonathan Smith is a good quarterback coach.
I totally agree.
So that offer, I went, okay. The offer that everybody went, hello. I had to look this up. I would think that Alabama would already have the quarterback for 2026.
So that's what I thought when I saw it too.
But then I was like, did they have somebody decommit?
Yeah.
They haven't had anybody decommit. So yesterday, Alabama offered a quarterback from Cincinnati. Okay, it's the legendary Cincinnati Moeller High School.
Oh, yeah.
The number 9 quarterback in the country, the 101st overall prospect, Matt Panotsky is his name.
Great last name.
So offered by Alabama yesterday. And Jet Tomala in Omaha, Nebraska, Millard South, offered. Again, I said, okay, Alabama doesn't have their quarterback. If they really like Jet, wouldn't they've offered it earlier? But then I go, damn, that's a really, really good offer. What's behind it, I don't know.
Sure.
But the guy at Alabama knows quarterbacks, correct?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say he knows his way around a QB or two.
So I scooted up my chair and I went, what's going on here? Because then this is what comes with it. Is, oh boy, Rule. Remember, Nebraska has not offered either one. And I think with Jet, they made their evaluation.
They made their decision.
And they have their quarterback in 26. Does not make the Millard South football family very happy. They're not happy. They're not happy at all. Okay. Why isn't our guy getting a Nebraska offer?
Yes.
If Dayton Raiola had a better offer than Nebraska, and it wasn't Nebraska, Appalachian State, and Charlotte, would this squelch any, what are we doing? I want to trust you, but I know it's the last name. What do we, because.
Oh, yeah, it would. Oh, it would squelch that.
Because Nebraska, as Luke said earlier, they're only going to take one high school quarterback. Now, what the quarterback room looks like next year, I think probably the two that just arrived are probably going to be on Survivor Island, and one will probably leave.
Probably.
But when you get Alabama offers an Omaha quarterback, which I think is great. I love the attention that our football players in the state get from Omaha to Scottsbluff, and more offers better, more exposure better. And if the homeschooler wants them, usually the homeschool is going to keep them. Okay? But it now brings back because we've gone about, I think, 10 days without this discussion about, Nebraska. Alabama offers an in-state guy, and we're going with Dayton in the class of 2026.
But the reason why I'm not in that camp because of what they have and what they have coming. Okay? They have Marcos Cavilla, who's a very talented quarterback. They have TJ Lateef, very talented quarterback. Hopefully, that Dylan is going to be the quarterback for this year and next year. And it seems like Trey Taylor is pretty damn committed to coming here in 2027. So when you evaluate the Nebraska quarterback room, in my opinion, they've made their bed. They got their prospects. They have their talent. I'm not going to question whether or not they should be comfortable with their quarterback room because they believe it, and all of the other ancillary rankings and recruits and scouts and whatnot, they have confirmed that with the scouting evaluations that they've given this guy. So I think it's great for the state. I think it's great Jet Tomlin got an Alabama offer. I think it's great that Braylon Warren is getting all this attention for the state. In terms of Nebraska specifically, not too worried.
And I'm intrigued by Dayton. I mean, he's a southpaw.
Yeah.
But I would. It would be
I
nice.
would like if he was like a borderline 4-star.
Yeah,
I would like it if he had like
not.
an Oklahoma State or an Oklahoma or that would be great. It would be great. Is it necessary? Am I freaking out about it? No, not really. But it would be nice. It would be nice. Be nice.
But you want to know the offer of which I went, okay, even more than Alabama to a local quarterback yesterday was? And we should also mention that Bryson Williams, whose mom and dad played sports at Nebraska, who is at Westside, whose brother is at North Dakota State, got an offer from Iowa State.
Oh, wow.
By the way, Alabama, put some respect on Matt Campbell's program. Their quarterback in their class of 2026 committed to him, and he just walked into Omaha and dropped an offer.
You think?
Come on.
You think Alabama gives
DeBoer,
a damn?
you used to be in Sioux Falls. You're a Midwest guy. Come on.
Do you think Kalen
we do things
gives a
differently around
damn
here
about the Cyclones? No, he doesn't. All right. Sorry, Ames fans. Alabama, ant meat boot. All right. Just plain and simple. And if I'm being honest, there's a lot of ants in the big boot of Alabama.
I know how these work, the offers. I want to know what's behind this particular offer.
So, no, it's interesting that they also offered another Cincinnati quarterback, too.
But the other offer in town, and I don't know what's going on with his recruiting because it's been a little bit quiet. Torrey Pittman III, who is a safety over at Omaha Central in the class of 2027. Dan Lanning offered him yesterday.
It's a hell of an offer.
Now, Torrey's offer list is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Nebraska was one of his first offers. Things are about to get interesting.
That's, elephant trunk on the table. Whenever Oregon comes into any state and offers a top athlete. I mean, it is really impressive what they've built over there in terms of anytime they do offer a recruit, everybody within the state is immediately put on notice. And I think that's when you know that you've made your mark as a national program.
Should we look if Dan Lanning is checked into the Cottonwood Hotel and if in the really cool pool that they have there, if he will be jumping into the pool
for
with
Torrey
Pittman III?
How would you feel if that became Dan Lanning's bit? It's just every
that'd be pretty cool.
Every recruit he got, he took off his shirt and you saw the skinny fat Dan Lanning. And
he'd have to do it year round. Even in the middle of the winter, he'd have to do that.
Oh no, I think that's a little egregious.
That's how you celebrate a recruit. Doesn't matter what time of the year.
Hey, breaking Dan Lanning no longer recruiting in Minnesota. We're not going there, Phil. We're not going there. I don't care who's up there. No, big offer, and I think, like I said, like when Georgia comes into a state that isn't in the South, you notice. When Alabama comes into Nebraska, you're like, oh my God. Oregon has built themselves to that point now, where it's like, oof, here they are.
Let me look at Torrey's list.
You just hope they don't get too comfortable,
They had a
that's a Nebraska. That's a Nebraska alum standpoint there. So coming out.
Oregon has a history here. Jackson from Omaha, Burke linebacker, and then Dickerson from West Side. This offer list from USC to Tennessee, Sacramento State, Penn State, Oregon, Nebraska, Mizzou,
Does Sacramento
Miami,
State have
LSU.
a lot of money? Like they have a lot of money, right? Yeah. Okay.
Florida State, Iowa State, Kansas, Kansas State, LSU, Miami, Missouri, Nebraska, Oregon, Penn State, Tennessee, USC, Wisconsin. Currently 4-star. I think it might be tough for him to get a 5-star, but he is only going to be a junior.
Hey, Peter, doesn't it feel like Sacramento State is playing real life Madden 25 Dynasty right now? like we're gonna take over this middling, nobody knows about college football team and try and build them into a power.
But why? I mean, it makes sense. If you were,
sure.
If you were, that's why I said, like, Nico should entertain a conversation from Sacramento State. I agree. NFL quarterback, whether you're in Knoxville or Sacramento, California, you're going to get paid. And if that program would be like, look what we got and look at the attention we got before we make the jump to play FBS football.
No, it would be, they've decided, hey, we got money and we want to invest in football. They're going to go ahead and invest to it. And it's all about, it would be what, but for Nico, specifically, it made sense for Travis Hunter to do it at Jackson State because Travis Hunter is Travis Hunter. And regardless of where he was playing, you knew he was a first-round talent.
Yeah, a little bit Dion.
Yeah, that too. But Nico still needs to play at a very high. It's not just he's walking onto the field. You're like, holy crap, that's a first-round prospect. He's got to prove it at a top level.
All right, Matt Verzal will join us next with a thought or two on a plethora of things.
Plethora of things.
Not bad. Oregon and Alabama dropped offers in Omaha yesterday.
Not bad at all. Pretty damn good.
We're back with more Gary and Matt after this. It is. Vers. Hey, good morning.
Morning, boys.
How you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
Good. This is in both of your wheelhouse, and this involves a story from Caleb Williams yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Me too. Matt, we're on the same page.
So he didn't want to go to Chicago, him and his dad, because that's where quarterbacks go to die. Is that a story, or is that story over because he's been there for a year and now he has a brand new head coach?
No, definitely a story. I don't think it's because they had the right quarterbacks that they had selected. They had passed on a lot of quarterbacks. I think it's a lot of bad hire on the head coach side, bad ownership, bad GM hire. But if you want to throw a quarterback in there because they draft the terrible quarterbacks, then yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Matt, this is exactly what I thought. Is it more so Chicago is the place where quarterbacks go to die, or Chicago just doesn't know how to evaluate talent?
The Bears have been deficient in talent evaluation for a very long time.
Thank you. Everybody
passed on. I mean, look at who all they passed on.
Exactly.
They passed on Patrick Mahomes.
They drafted. Look at all the first round quarterbacks they've drafted. Who've just been absolutely terrible. I was telling all these people yesterday who were trying to like text me and like joke around with me about the Bears and everything. It has nothing to do with like bad coaching. They're just all bad GM work. I'm sick and tired. And they should have taken Jaden Daniels. He was a dog.
Hey, one of
that
the
ownership. I mean, the ownership group is terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah. Hey, there was, and so part of this is in a book that is coming out. They talked about how they left him alone to watch film. And you and I have talked about this. I don't think on the radio. Do kids know how to watch film these days? Do you have to teach people? I mean, because you will break things down if you stop by at 156th and Center. But do you have to teach kids how to watch how to properly watch film? And were you taught when you got to Nebraska, hey, okay, this is how we watch film? Now, you were taught very, very well before you got there. But watching film, big deal, no deal, learning how to do it, knowing how to watch film properly?
Huge deal. We watch every Monday after the game. The offensive linemen meet me down here at 7 a.m. and we watch film. And so a lot of the tricks that used to be used on me when I was a young lad growing up in Grand Island, I still use them today. The old setup of, hey, how do you think you did here?
Yeah.
And they're like, you get that. But then once you tell them what to watch for, and you tell them, what you need them to see, and they're getting better. I mean, the root cause of it and why it is so different, why kids don't know as much what they're doing, is the lack of trust from coach to player.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brian, maybe our offensive line coach in Grand Island, this still blows everybody's mind. Okay, they're like, oh my God, Grand Island was so great running the trap, blah blah blah, this, that, the third. How did you guys do it? Okay, you had to have 17 different trap calls. That's been, of all my time at Scott, my only frustration with Turman is that he won't let the lineman call the play. So we had trap called, one singular play called, and there were some weeks there were 4. Every week there were 3. There were 3 different ways that I, as the guard, could call it. But our coach drilled it into us. This is what you're looking for. If they line up here, it's this. If they line up here, it's that. If they line up here, it's that. Blah, blah, blah. You have a special wrinkle, everybody, every week, just for fun. But we were in charge because they didn't teach us, you go do this and win. They said, this is the scheme. This is how they will combat it. You now figure out how to beat it.
Yeah.
So they taught you the game. They don't teach kids the game anymore. They teach them, do what I tell you and you'll go win. Or we'll have 17 play calls to call the same play.
Matt,
just teach the kid the scheme, let them be in control of the game. Watch how good they are, and then watch how good they become at like discussing football or even down the road coaching footballs, because that's what we probably need now more than anything also.
Matt, do you think there in coaching there was a balance between, throwing the kid in the lake and having them learn how to swim and holding, kind of holding their hand and guiding them?
No, there's no. As a coach, my job is to educate. I'm just an extension of a teacher. But I'm going to teach them discipline. I'm going to teach them how to be a good young human being, and learn all these things. Blah 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 blah. But I'm not. When I build a cognizant, respectful young man, amazing how much better of a coach I am. It's amazing. When I stop focusing on, hey, you're going to do this on this play, and every time we see it, that's what you're going to do. No, that's not how it goes. You focus on building the kid, okay? And there's a cut down phase. We are going to remove some things that you have learned from previous coaches or parents. So that process isn't always the best. It's not always the most fun. But then when I get you to that point, now I know that you're willing to work and you're willing to take criticism and you're willing to be a young man, and now we can work through the rest of it. Okay, I can teach you scheme for days. I can teach you why we run the play. One of our best games, Damon texted me from the press box during a state championship game. He said, "Are you running toss 3 different ways?" I said, "No." I said, "We're running it one way." And he said, "Then how are they blocking it 3 different ways?" I said, "Because they're smart and I trust them." And then he sent me a middle finger.
As he does.
So did not think that was very nice, but But we're too busy to teach them, do what I tell you to do, instead of, hey, here's the concept of the game. Go find this out. Because then there's no more rewarding feeling as a coach than when you're watching something and they go out and do it. And they come off the field and I know the answer to the question I'm about to ask. I say, what did you see there? Oh, the 3 technique, he shifted down, lined up here. The linebacker was coming up out here. So we did this. Perfect. My job here is done. I said when I coached every day, by week 3, my coaching job is over. There is no defense you're going to see. There's nothing else that that I'm going to have to tell you. Everything that you could possibly see, you've seen. Because we're going to get in the film, we're going to watch it. There's nothing they can do that you haven't seen by week 3. But guess what? I'm just here to rep footwork and hand placement. And the rest of it's up to you. Because now it's just want to and knowledge of the game.
Hey, you not only coach guys that have been recruited, you have kids that work for you that either are being recruited, have been recruited, or play at programs that there's a lot of high-profile recruits. What if I would have told you, I don't know, 7-10 years ago, that there would be a day in Omaha, Nebraska that Oregon and Alabama would drop offers on Omaha kids? You'd say what?
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course. I mean, yeah. I would, depends on how my day's going, but I'd probably be more pissy the other way. Like, why would they not? Like, the talent and all that stuff that's needed to play Division I football is there. The only acclamation point for the vast majority of kids that fall in that category is the fact that when you get to the field, you are not the best anymore. There's better than you. And how do you handle that? Can you handle that? Because some that have gone off to other places can't handle it. They can't handle not being, what do you mean I'm not the best? I'm the best. I was the best in the state. Well, you ain't in the state anymore, so welcome. we're going to teach you some stuff. And no. I Omaha, Nebraska in general, if you're willing to go look, there's diamonds in the rough everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Matt, it seems like Nebraska football specifically definitely is angling more toward being a national recruiting program. And in doing that, they've kind of left some in-state talent behind. Just, your take on that specifically, and maybe whether or not there should be some balance.
This has happened for a long time. Okay. It's nothing against any coach staff that has done it. It's how they feel they have to operate the program for their best chance of success. Okay?
Yep.
Nothing wrong with anybody's way they're doing it. I'm not saying anything against any staffs but one. That one was another staff ago, but that's a different story for a different day. Okay? For whatever reason, and I understand the reason, but then there's multiple. But that I'm happy they're doing it with a couple kids, because you see a Nebraska kid and you say, hey, that kid in 2 years I can make into this. Okay, he can become this for me and my program. I have to have some foresight if I want to recruit the state. We are not ready-made. We do not have the population base.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have. It's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
When you get so many of these kids to go in, you're drawing from a 4,000 person school. I'd hope you could find, or an 8,000 person school. I hope you could find a couple in there when you're not a state. But
yeah,
if you want to know the recipe to make this great, it's pride of my state, and you can. College football professor and Adam, they've done research on this. They have data that says if you accept a scholarship X miles away from your house, your odds at success go up 20, 30, 40, 50%, whatever it is. He told me that one day, and I was like, you guys are nerds. But now when you look at it and look how many, they go and it doesn't work. And now you're just in the wind. You're hoping to get somewhere. Literally hoping to get somewhere. Well, if you can get your state secure, then watch how much better you can become.
Sure.
Like as just an organization, as a team, as an outfit. That's something that I think they can get to. But right now, what Nebraska feels they have to do is get ready-made day one player. And like I said, they've got some nice Nebraska projects in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's up to the kid to do the work.
Yep. Nope. I wholeheartedly agree. And I have Adam has told me his whole work of that recruiting thing. McClintock, who could be followed at CFB_professor. Hey, I hope Max is back next week so that we can see him here in Omaha. By the way.
Yeah, man, this mono thing is quite a deal.
Well, I heard he's lost 10 pounds. Is that right?
Oh, my God.
Nah, he's fattening back up now.
That's good, because we need him in Omaha.
Tonight at the old Cash Man's graduation party is tonight. So.
Oh, hello. All right.
Yeah.
That'll get him going.
That'll be a good man.
Think,
yeah, go ahead.
You would think, my family was, oh my God, you work so much and you do this, that, and the third, and yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Guess who's a partial caterer of said?
Come on.
Cha-ching.
Man.
She got me. She got me the year when Max graduated. She's like, you won't do this for your nephew? So now I can go around. I'm like, well, what are we doing?
All right, Unc. Hey, I appreciate it. We'll see you downtown next week.
Sounds good, boys.
All right, that's
see you, Matt.
Matt Verzal. Of course, his nephew Max Butenbach got mono. Has been out for the last couple of weeks. He lost about 10 pounds. I think they are on pace for him to be back. I don't know about in the lineup, but at least to have a bat for the Big Ten tournament.
That's no joke. It's no joke. It's awful. Awful. Hopefully he's back. And, man, what's even worse is that he was clicking. He was clicking. He was crushing. And not just like Oh, it was a week. This was like a 5-6 week stretch of him just murdering bulls.
Yeah, and so that's, people were speculating, okay, why is he out of the lineup where, he's not around at all? Yes, he had mono. So he is on the road back, and so that's a good thing. Good thing for Nebraska's offense, which clicked for 11 runs last night. All right, we'll come back. We'll put a wrap on a busy week of shows and get you ready for the weekend with all kinds of stuff going on. Again, Nebraska is in the Big Ten tournament. Omaha is in the Summer League tournament. Both are going to be here. Creighton is in the Big East tournament. Creighton could be the number 1 seed. Got to win their next 2. We got NCAA softball in the same hour. At the top of the 2 o'clock hour, Nebraska plays in Louisiana. 2:30. Yeah. Omaha plays against Cal. Both games are on ESPN+.
Can you do multi-view on ESPN+?
I don't know.
I guess I've
never.
You've never tried.
Never tried.
I think that it was an option for the men's tournament.
I hope it's an option for the women's. Yeah, I really do.
Hopefully.
Does ESPN do like they do for the baseball tournament? Do they have a bases loaded?
Oh, for softball?
Squeeze play?
I don't know.
I'll investigate.
Once again, I hope so.
All right, we're back to put a wrap on Gary Matt after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, thanks for the assistance from Sean, our good friend, 1620 The Zone alum, Matt Schick, who does for the college baseball back-to-back weekends before the College World Series, is they do have something for softball. It's called 7 Inning.
I dig it. It's a good name.
So it's whip-around coverage. Might have a quad box or two.
But I would like it if when I clicked on a game, if I could get the option like view and multi-view, which might be the greatest thing YouTube TV has ever created.
Well, now you'll be able to create your own news, sports, whatever you'd like.
Minus the fact that I now have to pay like 60% more for it than I had to when I first subscribed. Plus, I
didn't have to bring that up.
I'm an idiot and I'm a dummy, and I picked a career in sports, and so I have to buy the advanced sports package too, which is like another $30 or whatever the heck it is, so I can get FS2, so I can watch the Professional Bowling Association.
Imagine if you live in Broward County.
Okay, imagining.
Okay, you might see some things you don't normally see.
No, I think most of the things that I would see there I haven't seen before.
It's not all bad.
Considering my background.
I mean, we're talking South Florida here.
Yeah, so it's different.
You do see the Florida man and woman. I just want to be fair.
Can't wait for GTA 6.
But imagine you're a resident of Broward County.
Okay.
And you're driving down the street.
All right.
Okay.
I'm driving.
And you look over and you're like, oh my God, is that former Atlanta Brave Rafael Furcal? And he is using a missile. So I had to pause yesterday.
I didn't know you could throw missiles. You know what? Considering his arm and how good he was at third base, not surprised. Rafael Furcal's been throwing missiles his entire life.
So he's now 47 years old.
He's still got a cannon, literally and figuratively.
It rolled across the old timeline yesterday, and I paused and I said, Rafael Furcal did what? He was arrested for what? Oh, good Lord. He is facing felony charges.
Yeah, I hope.
He was in jail. Well, he turned himself in. And then he was released on bail a short time later, according to court records. He is charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and throwing a missile into public or private dwelling or vehicle. Now, this is where I have to put on my legalese hat.
Sure, go ahead.
Florida.
Go ahead.
The definition of a missile in Florida is a little bit different from our definition of a missile here. Like, there's not a guy standing at, 52nd and Dodge with a rocket launcher,
sure.
ready to take out somebody he's had some road rage with. This could be a rock. It's not a actual missile.
Oh,
so it's like a projectile.
So this is of the phrasing in Florida. It is not what we would think as an actual missile. Because then that opens up a bigger discussion of
how do you get a missile?
How in the hell did Rafael Furcal? I mean, I know you could get some stuff in Florida, okay? And he's got connections. But did he get like something from, one of the war movies, whatever?
Huh.
It could be a rock that he threw. And in Florida, they call that a missile.
Can you imagine being in the Broward County Jail? You're like in the drunk tank.
I'd like to imagine it was something comedic, like a boomerang.
And then all of a sudden, couple-time All-Star Rafael Furcal walks into your cell. You're just sitting next to him. What would you say? Hey, how's Smoltz? How's that fastball?
It's like,
how does he smell?
Hey, I got you as a common in one of my packs of cards.
82? You're only an 82? Rafael.
So this is what Furcal said.
Took you on my fantasy team in 06.
He threw a rock at a truck. He hit the driver in the hand. So again, in Florida,
he really can't shake it, right? I mean, you can take the man out of baseball, but he can't take the baseball out of the man.
He had the yips when he was playing second base.
Threw it right on the money to the left hand of the driver.
Again, in Florida, the term deadly missile refers to any object like a rock, brick, or other projectile that can cause serious harm when thrown with intent. So it's a rock, but the charges use the term deadly missile to describe the act. It kind of ruined the story for me.
Oh, it ruins the story completely.
I wanted that he had a missile launcher on his shoulder while he was on the corner right there. This is very much a gated community in Weston, Florida.
Okay.
I wanted the launcher on the
you
shoulder.
wanted a scene straight out of GTA.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah.
You wanted him running across whatever boulevard there would be in Broward County shooting stuff. Look, I kind of wanted this to turn into Rafael Furcal's running an underground weapons ring. What the hell? What?
But see, then
Rafael Furcal's got enough weaponry to shut down Fort Knox. What are we doing here?
But see, in Florida, it wouldn't be out of the norm.
No,
That
it
would
wouldn't
be-
be at all. It'd be
that-
like can you imagine Florida man being like, oh, Rafael Furcal, that's rookie numbers.
I mean,
He's only got 14 MPGs or RPGs,
that might not even
not miles per gallon.
that might not even lead on Channel 7 in Miami. Like, hey, it's just another day.
Can you imagine
Push it to the middle.
Channel 6 in Florida? All right, C block for call missile. Do you think it's a D? All right, we'll put it. We'll have it. Do we even need a tease for it? No, we got an alligator chasing a man across South. All right, we'll leave with that. I would is the news in Florida, like, you've watched it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it as crazy as us Midwesterners think it is?
Well, I mean, you've lived in Chicago. So
yeah, but ours is
if
just sad. Ours isn't fun. Ours is like, no, I'm being serious. It's like, yeah, this kid who died way too young died today during this shooting.
Yeah, news in general has just become way too sad.
It usually is if it
You have fun news.
No, because most of the news in Miami is if it bleeds, it leads.
Oh Lord.
So
Yeah.
you lead with shootings and other things like that.
Yeah. Well, ours doesn't have to lead. It's kind of the full cast, unfortunately.
Yeah. We don't have car chases. So if it bleeds, it leads. I knew a news director that ran the ABC shop there, and that's what they did. That's how they got their A block. I'm like, wow,
That's so grim.
It is.
That is so grim.
I'm like, okay, yeah, hey, I'll tune in.
Here's
Hey.
the funny thing, though. I met the Channel
You're gonna
7
get
people.
how many minutes is Clayton Ferraro going to get on sports tonight?
30 seconds. Minutes? You think we give minutes?
But
to
this story
sports?
probably it would probably be because of Furcal and his background as a major leaguer. But people are like, oh yeah, no
big deal.
yeah, no
Come
big
on.
deal.
Come on. What are
No
we
big
doing?
deal. There was a headless alligator that was wandering in somebody's yard, which actually did happen yesterday too.
How's that a headless alligator?
They
How
don't
does that
know.
work?
They don't know. The alligator was still in somebody's front yard, and its head was gone.
You know, we had a crocodile in a lake in, I think it was Orland Park, for 20 days, and we called the guy from Florida. And like for 20 days,
I saw it. It was a news story.
we were trying to
Yeah.
catch this crocodile for 20 days, and we couldn't do it. We called the guy from Florida, and no joke, 12 hours, the crocodile was captured.
And didn't he throw out the first pitch of the
Yes,
Cubs game
he
or
did.
a White Sox game?
Yeah, the Cubs game. It
Oh,
was
wow.
it was so impressive. It's like, all right, clearly single A Chicago, Major League Florida. I've met those people at Channel 7 though in Chicago, and I was so shocked how nice and like fruity and peachy they were in terms of like they were just the like sweetest humans ever.
Mhm.
And then like they would get on the news and just read the
Yeah.
most rancid, like, oh my God, heart-wrenching things. It's
Yeah.
incredible how they flip that
Yeah.
switch.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. There's a lot of stuff going on. We'll have a lot of things to react to coming up on Monday. Also, tonight will be the first time that I've ever known somebody that has been on Shark Tank. A lot of people,
Oh,
a lot of
that's
people here in
exciting.
Omaha. Rachel Van Buskirk,
Did I see?
who founded Deviled Egg Company, which is a gourmet deviled egg delivery service that she
Nice.
founded here in Omaha. I think Rachel has relocated to Dallas, but she is on Shark Tank tonight to pitch the Deviled Egg Company.
Is there a contest? Like, what is she gonna pitch her company for? Like, I bet 15%, $100,000 for 15%. It's my bet.
I don't know. Alexi Wellman, who is a startup investor here in Nebraska, I think is going to be on the show with her.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
So, what, Shark Tank, 7 o'clock on ABC, Channel 7 tonight?
Did I see that Cuban's send off is like this week or next week or something?
Oh, that's right. He's not going to do Shark Tank after this year.
Yeah, I saw a
Are we
promo
gonna be
that
stuck with A-Rod on that show.
I don't watch that show anymore. You think I watch
do.
primetime television? Get out of here.
Record it.
I don't have a DVR.
YouTube it.
I don't care.
You got all kinds of space on YouTube. You can record
YouTube.
anything on YouTube and save it forever.
Jason Belmonte's bowling tonight. I gotta watch FS2, man.
oh my.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peter, thanks for sitting in for Jimmy
Yep,
last couple
thanks,
days.
fun week.
Jimmy does look like he's going to come off the IL. He'll be back with us on
Love you, Jimmy.
Monday. Live, laugh, punt, make memories, have fun, be safe out there. Crossover is coming up next for Peter, from Adam, Gary. It's Gary and Matt. We'll see you at 6 on Monday.